Ready? All right. Obviously, it's great to be back into the great city of New Orleans, and for Sunbelt Media Day, it's been a great day, busy day, a lot of interviews, a lot of great activity and communication with a lot of people from around the Sunbelt Conference. And I want to commend Carl Benson and his staff for what they do for the Sunbelt and how they put this thing on. This thing was grown every year, and we're excited to be a part of the Sunbelt as it grows and continues to expand with a new championship game and divisions happening. We're excited about it. At Texas State, obviously, it's year 3 for our program. Since we got there, we're excited about where we're headed. It's been a great off season for us. We had a great recruiting class. They all reported, all but 2 guys that didn't report on June 4th, reported for second session on July 9th. So we've had our entire team in San Marcos for a good bit of time. It's been a great summer. It's, again, year 3, and we feel like now we're starting to grow the program in the direction that we want to grow it in. I tell people this: year 1, we had 62 scholarship athletes on our team. Year 2, we had 68 scholarship athletes on our team. Year 3, we're going to have 76 scholarship athletes on our team. So to grow the number, it's really important. We'll finally get to that number that we need to get to, 85 in 19. But got so much more depth and experience on our football team. People say we have 12 seniors. We really have about 10 seniors on our football team. But we're excited about where we're headed. Again, we've had a great summer, training 8-week cycle. Our strength coach does an unbelievable job, Aaron Burkhart. He's the best in the business in my mind. He does a great job of growing our kids, and not only to prepare themselves to play a tough 12, hopefully 14 game season, but also to go and mentally compete against some of the best schools in our league. Talk a little bit about our offense. We're excited. We return a ton of experience on our offense. I always start the offensive line. One of our young men here today, Aaron Brewer. Aaron's a 3-year starter for us. He came in that very first class that we signed at Texas State. He's a preseason all-conference player, selection by the league. So we're excited to have Aaron here today. We also returned Jacob Rowland, who started for us a lot at tackle last year, and also Reese Jordan, who starts for us at center. We've got a number of guys in the mix to really fill some other spots, but we have a lot more experience and a lot more depth in our offensive line than we've had in year 1 and year 2, so we're excited about that. And that's really where it starts up front. Everybody wants to talk about the quarterback position. We've got 3 guys that will go compete for the quarterback job. Willie Jones, who played a little bit for us last year, will probably take the first snaps for us during training camp when we start on the 3rd. But Jalen Gibson has also had a great offseason, a great spring with us. And then we have a freshman that everybody's excited about around our area, and a young man from San Antonio named Tyler Vitt. So we go into the first year that we were going to have a true quarterback competition. We're going to have 3 guys that have to compete for that job. We're excited about the running back position. We've got a number of guys and depth at running back. Anthony Taylor will be a lead guy there for us. But Jalen Nelson, Caleb Twyford would also play some running back for us this year. So we're really, really excited. Robert Brown is another guy that gives us some depth. So we have 4 or 5 running backs we feel comfortable putting in the game and playing. They all played for us last year. Much of those guys, all 3 or 4 of those guys were true freshmen last year. They're now sophomores playing for us. So we're excited there. Receivers, again, we've really gone from year one receiver core that we didn't know who our receivers were in year one to now having a very good group of receivers. And also we signed 5 receivers in this past class that are all talented, athletic guys. The lead guy coming back for us is Tyler Watts, who had over 40 some odd catches for us last year and a number of touchdowns. Very good slot receiver for us. We returned Mason Hayes, who Mason was hurt for us for most of the year. After we played UTSA, we didn't have Mason for the rest of the season, so we're excited to get Mason back. And then we've got Hutch White on one end, Jeremiah Haydale at one wide out. We add T.J. Bedford to that group, and then a number of other, like I said, we signed 5 wide receivers that we feel like can compete, and a bunch of tall, long, athletic guys that we're excited about to add to that mix. So we're excited about the offense. We've got a couple things we got to get done on offense that's really important. We've got to be able to run the football better. Again, every coach in America is going to say up here and say you got to run the football better. But we've definitely got to be able to do that better. We've got to protect our quarterback better. We've got to be able to do those things better. And then we've got to be a better red zone team for us. We've got to score touchdowns in the red zone and not kick field goals. And football's changed so much now offensively. You got to be really good on first down. And that's what we've got to improve and get better at. So we're excited to go to camp with those guys and the depth behind them. Defensively, I feel like we're, with a new defensive coordinator, Chris Woods, who we're excited about. He comes to us from Oklahoma, a little bit more of an aggressive style, very sharp. We're a lot on the same wavelength as far as defense and attack style defense. Randall McCray did an unbelievable job for us, kind of helping us start a foundation with our defense. Now I think we can maybe take this to another step. We're so much better in our defensive line than we were when we got here. We were playing with 5'10", 260-pound offensive linemen in year one at nose guard. And now Dean Taylor is at 6'5", 315, who'll start for us at nose. We get Ish Davis back, who was injured for us for most of all last year, who's a very big part of our defensive line. And then a sophomore, Savion Patton, who played a lot as a true freshman. Those will be our starting 3 guys in our 3-4 scheme. We've got a number of guys that'll play behind those guys. So we feel good about our depth. We signed 4 linemen in last year's class, so we've added depth in our defensive line. Probably the biggest, the most experienced group, and maybe the best group on our team is our linebacker group. Obviously, Brian London's here. 2 years in a row, I brought Brian here. He's a preseason all Sun Belt guy. Really, 2 years in a row he was last year and this year. He's a college graduate. He kind of epitomizes our program. You take a guy that was struggling academically, not playing football-wise, and then now he's got a degree, and he's a preseason Sun Belt guy, a guy that's done a great job as far as being a leader on our football team. Frankie Griffin, I just got a text from Frankie a second ago. He says, "Coach, I'm coming next year." And so I said, "Frankie, you got to get another year eligibility to come next year." So he's another one of our linebackers that was a third-team All-Sun Belt last year. We're excited to have Frankie back for his senior year. And then Hal Vincent, who played a lot for us last year, was injured some, plays our boundary outside linebacker. A number of guys behind those guys playing that have played will add depth to our linebacker core, but we feel like that may be the strongest piece of our football team. Secondary, and the area that we probably have to, we have spent a lot of time rebuilding and growing, but we've got 2 safeties that have played a lot of snaps for us, A.J. Krozik, and we moved Jashawn Waddy from corner to safety. So we've got 2 guys there who played a lot of snaps for us. We'll have to continue to grow depth at corner. We signed a junior college kid from corner. I usually don't talk about kids till they play for us. So, and then Cordell Rogers will play a lot for us at one corner, and we'll continue to grow the depth at corner position. But that's kind of where we are with offense and defense. James Sherman returns for us as a kicker. He'll be in a battle to keep his kicking job because we signed a kicker this year that's very talented. And then our punting job, we feel really good about. We lose a punter from last year, but we signed another young man that we feel very, very good about being our punter this year. So I'll open it up for questions.
Coach, what things have this team done this offseason that excites you? What have they done compared to the last few years?
This is the closest team that we've had since I've been here. I think, one thing you find out when you're building the culture is you have to eventually have the players own the culture and run the culture. And we feel like our team now is starting to run it within itself. Guys like Brian, guys like Aaron, guys like A.J. Krozik, Dean Taylor, those guys are really kind of running our football team now, which to me is what you have to have. You have to have a group of guys that take and say, the things that the coaches say, within the team. And that's happening a lot more at our place, more so than it happened in year one and year two. We've got more guys bought in. Like I said, we've had over 100 guys since June 4th around our program. That hadn't happened before. We've had, obviously a great eight-week training session, but our guys are out there on their own running captain's practices, which you have to be considered, a team that can compete in a league like the Sun Belt. So we're headed in the right direction. Are we there yet? No. Are we closer? I think so. So we'll keep going.
Coach, as you mentioned, it's year 3, which is always a big year for coaches at programs. Obviously, you've had some good recruiting over the past several years. What kind of benchmark would you like to set in this season, particularly in conference play?
Well, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you how many games we're going to win because I can't tell you that. What I will tell you is that I think we'll be a better team than we were in year 1 and year 2. And hopefully that means more wins. Hopefully that does. But we have to continue to grow our program. We have to continue to grow and develop the kids that we've recruited. We've had 2 really full recruiting cycles. I think it really takes 3 to put your stamp on your program. So we're headed in that direction. Our 19 recruiting class will maybe be our best if we continue to go the direction we're going. If that's the case and we continue to develop the guys we have on our team, then we'll have a chance to go compete in the Sun Belt.
Coach, you talked about Aaron Brewer a bit. As a third-year guy, how special is he to that offensive unit in you this year?
Aaron's very special to our entire football team, not just our offensive unit. He's played guard, center, and tackle for us in 3 years, and his knowledge and experience in that offensive line is probably as important as any position on our football team. In a perfect world, we love to play Aaron at center. We'd love to put him there and leave him there and know that he can go play guard or tackle, but put him there at center, and we're closer to maybe doing that. We've got some things have to happen this summer for us through training camp for us to say we can do that. But if we can get Aaron Brewer playing center for us, then we're a much better offensive line going into year 3 than we've been since we've been there.
You mentioned Willie Jones.
What's your name?
Brooks.
Okay.
Arena from the Democrat Gazette, Arkansas.
Okay.
You mentioned Willie Jones. I think he was a freshman last year. Just
yes.
Some snaps, true sophomore now. I mean, just him being the leader going into the spring. Just what does he do well? Is he a young guy? What do you see in him?
Very talented, very strong arm. He's athletic, long, tall, athletic guy. I think the things that Willie does well is he can make a play when a play isn't there. We've got to get him to now start making the plays that are designed to be there, and he will. He's growing. Again, he was a true freshman last year. We're excited about him. He's going to be in a battle though because Jalen Gibson who didn't play last year, who redshirted, got a lot of snaps, this spring and improved this spring. So we're excited about both of those guys, and then obviously adding a true freshman in that mix. It's hard for a true freshman to come in here and compete in the Sun Belt, but Tyler Vitt's going to get every opportunity to do that.
You brought Brian here again. What have you seen from him growth-wise, and what do you see motivates him to keep getting better?
Well, Brian's matured since year one we got here till now. And I think Brian understands it's not all just about football, too. Brian's a very good football player, but Brian has grown in so many ways as far as off the field, understanding what the importance of having a degree and life after football and giving back to the community and being a leader on our team. He's grown in so many ways that, he kind of epitomizes what we were looking for. You talk about student athlete, Brian's that guy. Brian's that guy that went from not doing very well in school when we first got here to obviously having a degree and over 3.0 GPA and those type things, and then being a leader and just doing all the right things that you want from your teammates.
Going into camp, what do you've highlighted some of the guys and some things that excite you, but what excites you the most going into camp, and what things are you still concerned about while you head into camp?
What excites me more is I think this team's a lot closer than any team that I've been associated with since I've been here. I think this team has a purpose going into camp. I'm more excited about some of the young guys who maybe didn't play last year or played limited roles last year and how much they've grown, to add depth to our program. Because if we can add depth, you don't win in a league like the Sun Belt unless you have depth. Okay, you need a quarterback, but you better have depth. So those are two areas that I think we're, got a chance to be better at. What concerns me is adding that depth and keeping that depth, staying healthy, which I'm sure every coach, all 9 other coaches are concerned about that as we move into the season. But I think staying healthy is going to be really important. And for a young team that hadn't won, how do you handle the adversity when things happen, that don't happen the way you want them to happen? That concerns me. That doesn't concern me as much as it did a year ago, but it still concerns me.
With a young team that may not know how to win, do you still kind of have to teach them the things to do to go out and win?
No question. Yeah, there's no doubt. You gotta, the thing that we talk about is how camp used to be. Now you have 25 days, of practice, 25 practice opportunities. It used to be, how do you get your installation in and all those things. Our installation's already in. Our offense, defense, special team. It's already done. I mean, they've been on our campus all summer long. So now it's about situational football, teaching them how to, when you're up by 3, how do you handle that? When you're down by 4, how do you handle that? Putting them in those situations so they can be knowledgeable of them when they come to them during a real ball game, and being able to compete and fight themselves out of situations that aren't positive. And that's what we'll spend our camp doing, is teaching them how to come out of adversity.
Last season and even in the spring, you were a big proponent of what the NCAA passed with the redshirt rules.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see that helping the team now that that's been passed?
Yeah, we finished last year. We couldn't find a defensive lineman to play last year. We burned one red shirt last year in the end of the year, and it's a shame that you have to do that. And at the group of 5 level, probably more so than any other level, depth always becomes an issue. So for the NCAA to pass this rule, and I know Todd Berry, who's a former Sun Belt coach at Monroe, who's now head of the AFCA, that's been a big proponent of him, is how do you allow some of these freshmen to add depth to your team without losing a year? And the NCAA, one of the best rules that's been passed by the NCAA in many years is this redshirt rule. So we're going to try to figure it out. I know a lot of coaches are going to try to figure this thing out. How do you maybe play some of those guys? Get them ready to play. Maybe middle of the year, maybe end of the year, just so they've got some experience going into your off season or in the spring ball. If you truly need them, then you've got them there. They're prepared to play. If you play them in the middle of the year, they're ready to play for you and give you significant snaps later in the year when you may have some injuries. So it's going to be a big part of what we do coming back with our coaching staff and talk about, pinpointing the 4, 5, 6 freshmen, maybe more than that might be ready to play in those 4 games.
You talked a little bit about that you want to see the team run the ball better and stick the quarterback. How big is having depth on that offensive line going forward to be able to do those things you want to accomplish this year?
Well, the depth on the offensive line gives you more competition in the offensive line, which the more competition you have, the better your offensive line is. And if we can get that depth in the training camp where we can compete and get better as an offensive line group, which I think I'm pretty positive we will, then you have more guys that can play for you. You don't have to have guys that play 80 snaps a game. You can have, your first unit play 60 snaps and your second unit play 20 snaps. But now you're getting guys on the field, getting them more experience, and you're staying healthier too.
You said that you have guys, you highlighted guys in the secondary that are coming back for you, but you also mentioned you've done a lot of work there. What do those guys need to do this season to really take that unit and improve? Well,
a lot of things that I look at in that unit is how can we give them the opportunity to make more plays. We were a little bit of a zone vision break coverage team in the past. Now we're going to be a little bit more of a man-matched team in the secondary. So we've got talent in that secondary. Guys like Josh Newman, Preston Demery, they need to play for us and get opportunities to go make more plays on the ball when the ball's thrown. The way you help the secondary is be really good up front, stop the run, and rush the passer. That every secondary that I've been around has been really good. It's been because we've been able to stop the run and rush the passer up front. So if we can do those things up front by being a little bit more aggressive, then it gives our secondary a chance to make a few more plays. Good. Thank you, guys.
Who's a better dancer? It had to be me. Oh, there you go.
So, year 3, what do you expect out of yourself and the team this year?
Just out of myself, just continue leadership. I feel like I feel like I'm getting the hang of it now. Just making sure the young guys come on, and just being able to balance out the highs and lows a lot better, So we can just continually improve and I want to see improvements in the win column. I feel like that's a big part of leadership. Just being able to get us. We had so many close games, and I feel like that's why I want to be able to come in. Just help get us through some of those games.
How close do you feel like you guys are to getting over the hump in those games?
I feel like we're right there, and I feel like once we get over the hump, we just won't look back. But it's a matter of getting over the hump.
When you saw the preseason lists come out, feel a little slighted sometimes when those lists come out?
Yeah, but I get it, Close isn't good enough, so I understand. And preseason really, preseason awards are just that, preseason awards. You haven't really done anything.
Is that any extra motivation, or do you even need extra motivation going into this season?
Nah, I don't need it, but I'll take motivation in any form I can get it,
Yeah. What motivates you, to go out and compete every day?
Honestly, just having the God-given ability. I feel like I can do it, so why not, It's just, and I love playing football, and football's just afforded me like so many things in life that, you know, probably wouldn't have. My parents would have made me go to college, but it wouldn't have been as enjoyable as it's been having football in my life. So, just being grateful to the game, you know, and everything it's done for me. I feel like the least I could do is go hard.
Coach says that you kind of epitomize what he wants to see in the student athletes that he has. I mean, what does that mean to hear that from him?
Nah, I mean, it means a lot, like, just to hear things like that from, you know, like Coach Withers. Dang, I didn't know he said that. Nah, it's pretty cool, though. It means a lot to me. Just someone sees you, like, working hard and trying to, you know, because I'm not perfect, but, you know, I'm just trying to be good, you know, trying to do better every day.
It sounded like, you know, after the spring, Coach kind of talked about it a little too in interviews, that you guys are really excited what you guys have in Coach Woods. You know, what do you guys think you guys can do on defense with him?
Nah, I think we can do a lot. I feel like we can keep improving the same way we've been doing. I feel like he's really detail oriented. Like, he's a linebackers coach, so it's like sometimes it's like, oh man, like he like every fine detail he's gonna make sure you know it, you know. And that's one of those things. Like in the meeting room, you know, you might be like but you're always grateful for it. So I feel like he's just gonna help the defense get on the same page, so we could just play faster and not have lapses.
Yeah. You are graduated, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did it mean to graduate so early?
It meant a lot to me because that was my parents. Like, that was their number one thing. Like, my parents, like, they love football, but they're like, Brian, we don't care if you never take a snap, just graduate. You know, that's one thing they wanted from me. So to just be able to do that early was something like I really wanted to do for them.
Going into camp, what did you degree in?
Business management. Yes, sir.
Yeah, going into camp, what excites you the most, and what do you see that you guys have to kind of fix before the first game of the season?
What excites me the most is just seeing everyone just where we are at this point in the summer. It's just like, I'm not gonna lie, some guys just have like 9-day transformations. Like, it just feels like, well, I feel like I'm at like a D1 program now. Like, you look at like some of the linemen, like Brew, and they're just like, they look the part now. I feel like we look the part. There's just energy buzzing around like the field house. Things that we gotta improve on. Probably just poise. I feel like there's times where we'd have a bad play, and that one bad play would string into 2 bad plays, and then 2 bad plays would string into bad series on both offense and defense. You know, so just learning like to cut our ties like at a play and just be able to move on and play the next play.
You mentioned that you feel like you're at a D1 program now. Is that just with the personnel, or is that the way you guys do things now?
I feel like it's just the way we do things now. Like, I feel like Coach Withers and the staff, they just kind of taking the training wheels off a little bit. At first, like, it was like they had to baby everyone, you know, like call you and nag you, make sure you're doing stuff. And I feel like now they're just kind of just letting us be who we are. You know, everyone's personality shine through a lot more. So,
with going into year 3, you know, what do you want people to know that you guys can accomplish this year?
I feel like we can accomplish any goal, like all our goals that are set out in front of us. I don't feel like it's like, I don't know, I feel like often too much people just want to improve just want improvement. I don't know, I feel like 3 games would be an improvement. 3 wins would be an improvement from last year, and I feel like that's not like enough for us. I feel like we're capable of more this year.
Yeah. You know, a lot of guys talked last year before the season that you guys were close. Coach says that this team is even closer. Do you feel that way?
Yeah.
What's different?
I feel like we're not, like, don't get me wrong, we have like a lot of good freshmen coming in, but I feel like we're no longer dependent on freshmen. Like, we have our core group of guys that we feel like we can get the job done. Like, freshmen are certainly going to help, but we're not counting on any like one freshman like to step in and fill a role that they may not be ready to fill right away.
Appreciate it, Brian.
I think no problem.
Thank you, sir. Are you done?
No problem. Good. All right.
I'm now joined by Arkansas State's Justice Hansen, quarterback and preseason offensive player of the year this year. We've got a lot to talk about your Red Wolves, but, first off, we'll start just kind of talking about your head coach. He's also your quarterback coach, and so I think you guys probably share a pretty special relationship in that aspect. How has he helped you evolve and develop in your 3 years, going on 4 now?
He's helped me a lot. Everything really starts with a head coach as far as a team is concerned. So not only do I get the insight of the offense from him, but as well as like how he wants things ran. So over the 3 years, I've definitely been able to pick up on what he likes and what he doesn't like and help install that in the rest of the team.
I think as Coach Anderson enters into his 5th year, there's a lot of stability going on for you guys. How important is it to have that stability and have the consistency that you guys are starting to have?
It's definitely been huge, and I think it helps a lot in recruiting when guys know, Coach A wants the best for them, and he's going to be there to see that through.
And when you look at the roster this year for you guys, kind of what position group excites you, maybe outside of your own?
Everybody talks about our receivers. I'm definitely looking forward to, everybody on the team's impact this year. But like I said, I think our receivers get a lot of the hype just because that group of guys is so talented from top to bottom.
And speaking of a lot of hype for Arkansas State, you guys are not only the West Division favorites going into the season, but also the favorite to win the inaugural Sun Belt Football Championship game. Does that add any extra pressure, or is that just kind of raising the stakes, saying, let's get out there and let's do this thing?
I think that's the goal for us every year. This year is definitely cool that they have implemented the championship game. But, again, it's 1 week at a time, and that's what we have to be focused on.
And for you guys, too, as you kind of host some games this season, you're going to have a nice little north end zone to run to. Talk about what you've seen kind of in that construction and how exciting that is, especially from the recruiting aspect for you guys.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I know once it's finished, it's going to be very nice, and I think it's only going to help Arkansas State down the road.
We'll close it out a little bit. We've talked about the championship game. That's exciting. But another thing that's exciting for you off the field is your YouTube channel. I want to help you out. I want you to get some subscribers. So exactly what is a YouTuber? Because like I told you, I said, you've got that in your bio. I don't know what that means.
YouTuber is pretty much like your own TV channel for the most part. And a lot of people do different stuff. For me, I just kind of vlog. I'm a Division I college football player, and so I think a lot of people are interested in what it is like day to day. So every once in a while, I'll just get my camera and kind of record myself throughout the day, things I do, stuff I do with my roommates and stuff like that, just to get it out there. I need help with some subscribers right now, so Justice Hansen TV, go check it out. But yeah, I need to post on there more frequently. Like I said, I think it's just something people can look into and kind of get a look, past just the field.
And last question, I forgot to ask it already, but you guys are going to be traveling to Tuscaloosa to take on the defending national champions. What kind of a game atmosphere is that like for you guys? Is it any different, or is it, the same old kind of Saturday game?
We have to look at it like an everyday Saturday game. We all know they're the defending national champs, and definitely looking to go in there, and have a good Saturday.
Well, Justice, I appreciate you taking the time to join me today. You guys, you have to subscribe to his YouTube channel. I think he'd be a great follow. I haven't subscribed yet, but we won't tell him that. Maybe he didn't hear. But thank you so much for joining me. Have fun the rest of the day, and good luck this season.
pounds. So we got stronger in the weight room. The guys did a great job in the classroom, in the weight room. Then we attacked the spring training phase. We had 15 practices. We used, all 15 of them to make improvement. Then the guys really hit the off-season program hard during the summer workouts, have attacked it in a very positive manner, and have made a lot of progress. So, I really like this year's football team. We've got a good mix of some experience coming back in a lot of positions, some key positions. And then we've got some youth and inexperience at some other positions, but a lot of talent coming back at the positions where we're not so experienced. So I really like the mix of the older guys with the younger guys, the guys who played a lot of college football with the guys who will be being thrown into the fire for the first time. So, it's a fun group to work with. It's a group that is a hungry group. Again, I like the way that that they've attacked everything that we've asked them to do, and really looking forward to to putting the pads on and getting back to work and shooting towards that September 1st home opener against Louisiana Tech. With that being said, I'd like to open it up to any questions. Yes, sir.
Coach, what's the one thing you want to change?
Yeah, I don't want to say so much change because I don't know how it was before, but we've tried to implement, instill 3 core values. Number one, the first thing that we talk to our guys about, number one, we want unselfish football players. We've got a big deal on the board. It says the Jaguar way. Number one, be unselfish. I've been blessed to have been a part of 3 national championships, and I've been a part of, as a player and a head coach, I've been a part of some teams that came up short. When you look at the teams that won championships and you go, what did they have that the teams that came up short didn't have? I've had teams that won championships with a big quarterback that could run, throw. I've had teams with a big quarterback that could run and throw that came up short too. I've had big D linemen on teams that won championships. I've had huge, great D linemen on teams that came. But the one thing that these teams that won championships had that the teams that came up short didn't have a great abundance of was they were unselfish. They loved each other. They played for each other. They did all the things that unselfish teams and unselfish people did. So, most importantly, we want to put in what we call the Jaguar way, which is 1, be unselfish. Number 2, get better every day. And that's what we talked about in the classroom, in the weight room, on the field, off the field. Get better every day. You've got a finite number of days, and if we're going to play somebody that's using every day. Well, they're not going to use more days to get better than we are. Use every single day to get better in the weight room, get better in the classroom. Do not waste an opportunity. There's only a limited amount of resources. Make sure that we take full advantage of them. Third thing, do the little things right. A million different little things, as far as being successful academically, sit in the first 2 rows of class. Say yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Make sure you have your utensils, your book, your textbook, your notebook, your pen, your pen. There's a million little things that will help you be successful in getting a degree. Just as in football, turnovers, explosive plays, stance, start, alignment, first step, contact, finish, follow through. There's a million little things that that we talk about. So when you say what's the one thing that we want to get accomplished, is the Jaguar way. Number 1, be unselfish. 2, get better every day. And 3, do the little things right. And that's what we've gone to work and tried to implement.
Coach, you've stepped into a program that's in the middle of pushing for an on-campus stadium. What specific benefits are you hoping to get out of that should it come to pass?
Yeah, a new on-campus stadium will be the final piece of the puzzle as far as making South Alabama an elite program when it comes to athletic facilities. We've got a tremendous, our baseball stadium is tremendous. Our basketball stadium, the Mitchell Center's a great venue for college basketball. Football-wise, we're finishing completion right now within the next week on the largest indoor practice facility in the state of Alabama. And as you know, there's some good college football teams in the state of Alabama. We will have the largest indoor practice facility of any of them. The on-campus stadium will be the final piece of the puzzle, facility-wise, that will separate us from that will put us in the upper echelon, facility-wise, of any of the schools in the nation. I grew up not too far from Mobile, but I really didn't have I was a football guy. Didn't have a whole lot of reason to step foot on campus. And then once we started football, we play all of our home games out at a historic landmark at Ladd Stadium, but still didn't go to campus. I had gone to a lot of the other campuses. I'd been to Hattiesburg and watched Southern Miss play football. I'd been to Troy State and I'd been to West Alabama. I'd been to Mississippi College and watched all those guys play. I'd been on their campus. Another great benefit besides the football aspect, which football-wise it'll be a game changer. But just as a total university, it'll bring 25, 30,000 people to our campus on a regular basis, which that'll be huge. It'll open us up to so many more students, potential students, than what have had the chance to enjoy all that South Alabama has to offer. So it will be great football-wise, tremendous, but university-wise as well. It'll bring 30,000 people to campus on a regular basis, which is really something that will have tremendous benefits.
What's it like coming into a Division I program that's known no other coach at that level?
Yeah, it's humbling. It's an honor, and it's very humbling because, I know what a great job that Joey did, and Dr. Erdman, Joey, Dr. Waldrop, in getting the program started, all the effort that went into starting the program and getting it to a bowl game as fast as they got it to a bowl game. There's a lot of effort and a lot of work put into it, and we're very mindful of that and respectful of that. That being said, now we want to take that and let's take it to the next level. All things are in place there we want to have the first winning season. We've been 6-6 and gone to a bowl game and stuff like that and wound up 6-7. We want to win a bowl game. We want to win a conference. We want to win the first conference championship in the history of the school football wise. And we want to have a winning record. Not only that, we want to have the first 10-win season. Have the first, and we want to go to a BCS bowl. All those things are, they're out there, but they're very, very attainable. And, they're goals that we want to, this year, this is the first year that the Sun Belt Conference is playing a championship game. That's exciting. We want to be a part of that. We're excited to have the opportunity to be a part of that. I mean, that's a big deal to get to play and not play in it, but win the first Sun Belt Conference championship game. I mean, that's something that will get our tradition. That'll be a little feather in South Alabama's football cap, and we're ready to start putting some tradition together football-wise. I mean, I have all the respect in how quickly we got to a bowl game and how quickly we've gone from not having a program to being a Division I team that can beat an SEC team in Mississippi State, as we did a couple of years ago, and a top-ranked San Diego State team and the conference champions this past year. There's a lot that's been accomplished quickly, but we want to keep adding to the history and tradition of South Alabama football.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about bringing in Kenny Edenfield and your past relationships with him?
Yeah, Kenny, I was talking to a guy earlier, and he goes, a lot of coaches hire their buddies and things of that nature, but, fortunate enough to hire a good coach. Kenny, I hired the best offensive football coach that I know, and that's Kenny Edenfield. Now, it's also a great deal that he and I have known each other for, 30-something years now. When I look for a coach, number one, I look for guys that are, two things. I look for loyalty and then knowledge. And, Kenny and I go way back to we played together in college, and we were next door neighbors up in the dorm, and so we go way back. We're very loyal to one another and to the programs that we work for, and our families, our wives are good friends, our children are the same age, and we work together at Southwest Mississippi Community College. My first head coaching job was at Southwest Mississippi. Kenny was my OC. And we helped lead them to their first winning season in 12 years there. We were together at Nicholls State in Thibodaux many moons ago. And then, Kenny, so all the friendship and loyalty stuff, put that to the side. which that's the first thing I look at. But then Kenny's won a bunch of football games. You know, this year he was offense coordinator at Troy, and I want a guy calling plays that beat LSU this year. I want a guy that went to the bowl game and scored 50 in the bowl game. I want a guy calling plays for us that's done that. The guy's been a part of a lot of conference championships at Troy. Won a ton of football games. University of North Alabama, has great familiarity with the state of Alabama from all of his days at UNA, all of his days at Troy. So it's great having Kenny on board with his experience and our relationship. You know, I know I can. Kenny's a guy that when the bullets start flying, that you can trust. Greg Stewart, our defensive coordinator, played with us back in the day. Stacks, as he goes by, we were together back in the days. Me, him, and Kenny all played together, and then we coached together at Delta State, and then coached together at Central Arkansas, and he's been the architect of 2 bowl. You know, the first time Louisiana went to a bowl, he was their defense coordinator, and the second time they went, he was their defense coordinator. So he's won at this level in this league, led teams to bowl victories on the defensive side of the ball. He was a coordinator at Jacksonville State when they beat Ole Miss, beating an SEC school from an FCS. And then he helped us at Central Arkansas to climb to number 3 in the nation in the final regular season poll. So I've got a lot of confidence in him as my defensive coordinator. So I love my coaching staff. Real good mix of experience with some young guys that really get after it and that are great coaches in their own right. So feel very blessed to have been able to put together the staff that we put together.
Coach, I'm wondering, I know a lot of times when you have a coaching staff turnover and maybe not as much roster turnover, some guys may have a harder time sort of buying in and getting your system. I'm wondering how much your experience and your other coaches' experience, having that championship experience, makes that a little easier for you.
Yeah, I know every time you have a coaching change, you have guys that come in. They may not have been the one that recruited you. So you don't know what people were telling them as they were recruiting them, or what jersey number they told. There's no telling what went on in recruiting. You get to wear this jersey number. You get, I don't know, your locker can be here next. You don't know what all went on. So there's all kinds of things that happen whenever a new coach comes in. The thing I know about this group, as I said, they're hungry. They're not worried about all that. They're not worried about, they want to win. And, and they have really taken to our staff really, really well. I love their attitude. They're like a sponge right now. They've been soaking everything in, and I love the way that they've responded when we've challenged them. And it's just a really hungry group, and that's what you like to see.
Coach, over here. So a couple players from this team from Dothan. How important is recruiting in the Wiregrass and maybe in Dothan in specific?
Yeah, very important. The state of Alabama is going to be big for us. There's, a lot of talent, in the state of Alabama, and the Wiregrass area has a tremendous amount of talent. A lot of good football players. Rowan Godwin is from over that way. Rowan ended the spring as one of our starting offensive guards, and I'm counting on him and he's a great leader, tremendously hard worker. And just over the years, been a lot of really good football player, a lot of talent, and a lot of leadership. A lot of good young men come from the Wiregrass area, so that's definitely an area that we will continue to hit.
In the coaches voting poll, you guys got one first place vote. Any idea who that coach was?
I got a good idea who it was. I know this. They said, "Well, vote on your." And I go, well, in the other league, we didn't vote for ourselves, do you? They said, yeah, you vote for yourself here. And I go, well, I'm supposed to vote for ourselves second or fifth or what? No. So I got a good idea of who I know where that one came from anyway. I have a hard time voting we're going to be fourth. No. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. So I got a good idea who that one was. Thank you. Go Jags.
2-hour drive, not too much.
I'm going to be your DC, and you're my guy. And from that point on, we just clicked. And from the day I met him in person, from the day I talked to him on the phone, he was the same person. And that right there, by him not changing, he was always the same person every day. Him and Coach Campbell brought the same energy every day. That right there, that helped all the doubt and the not knowing go away. And it became, let's embrace this season, embrace these coaches, and be the best we could be.
Now, obviously, I don't think either of you guys will be around if it does finish, but well, as a student, but how exciting is it that there's a push to get on campus? Do the players feel it?
That's very exciting. Even for me as a senior, I'll be gone and won't be able to play in it, but I'm excited for my guys to be able to play in it because I know how special that is. Being able to walk out of your locker room knowing you got a home stadium right in front of you, you don't have to drive, and your student fan base can walk from their dorms to your room, so you know that your games will be that much funner because you got more people coming to watch you. I'm just excited for them, and I'm just ready to see it, how it look, and just see a game in it. Just watch a game, because I won't be able to play in it, but me being able to watch a game in it, my guys being able to play good, that's just pretty special.
You have a very big challenge coming up to the first game of the season, though. Louisiana Tech isn't a chump. What's that going to be like to start that first game into the Steve Campbell era?
See, we're ready. We're ready to start the Steve Campbell era around here. La Tech they're a pretty good team, but the thing about La Tech is the guys that played in that game last year, we felt like we let La Tech off the hook. We have 7 returning starters that played in that game, so guys know like what type of team it is. I feel like we went into the game when we played them last year, like not knowing what we was gonna get. Like we saw on film, like guys, but in your head, like if you feel like you're a good ball player, you're gonna always feel like you can get the person in front of you. Well, we got them. We was getting guys, but we wasn't consistent with it. And the thing about that, our main thing is we're trying to go into this game consistent. So no matter what's thrown at us with La Tech, even if they switch up the whole offense, we're gonna be us and play our defense, play our offense, and that's gonna help us win the game.
What do you do for fun in your school?
Cool experience. It's my first time, meet new people, meet new guys around from the Sun Belt teams. It's just a great feeling,
Yeah, what's that like to be in the same room as a lot of your enemies here?
I mean, right now it's cool, we can be cool buddy right now, but on the field, that's gonna change.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah, my baby boys. Yeah.
Once I hope you have a level playing career. What's the playing career yourself? You know what you'd like to do?
See, to be honest, I would love to coach under my current DC now, Coach Stewart. Like, I've embraced him so much since he came on campus. Like, he just a guy that just loves football, loves guys that want to work hard, want to achieve something that they've never achieved, and it's fun, like just being around a guy like that. Like he always have energy. He's always a person, like if you're feeling bad, you could be just messed up and he'll say something that everybody just laughs and you just calm down and get cool. And things like that's things that help you get over like small challenges and face adversity, and to be able to accomplish things like win a conference championship and a big-time bowl game, because you got guys like confident coaches that are confident in their players, which also they love their players, so they're coaching you hard, but they know your ability, so y'all on the same page and the whole team's on the same page, and that's just special.
Excellent. Well, good luck this season.
Thank you.
Well, can you talk to me a little bit last year about that win over Troy and what that kind of did for the program?
Well, see, last year, once we found out Troy beat LSU, that made Troy week even more special. So once we finally got to Troy, it was like play the best you could play, be the best you could be, and that's what we did from the backups to the starters, from special teams. Everybody was on the same page that game, man. We came out and played one of the best games of last year, which showed how special we could have been as a team by beating one of the best teams in the conference, Troy.
And we just said, the stadium bill is passed. I mean, what is the team and the program itself? I mean, how hyped or psyched are you guys to play in this new stadium?
I feel like it's gonna really change the outlook on South Alabama's campus. When you pull into the field house, you see a huge stadium right in front of the field house, and I feel like that's gonna help like the program in the future as well, like getting recruits, getting more guys. You know what I'm saying? Guys want to come in and embrace the South Alabama, the new team, the team that only been around 10 years, but they got so much stuff that it's like I wanna be part of that. I wanna help change this program, and so I feel like the new stadium is gonna enhance us a lot. Like it's gonna really help the Jags be a bigger team.
Yeah, and you mentioned, they're so new and everything. How is the coaching staff tried to instill in the players' minds that we can be as good as App State and Troy? How going out on the field, how do you guys look like? Maybe go out and say, hey, we can beat this team every Saturday.
Well, see, we first go back and look at our past. Like we beat a lot of big teams. Like last year, we beat Arkansas State and Troy, two teams that was up for the conference championship. So therefore, that shows if we're consistent, we can beat anybody we want to be. So that's why, like, the coaches came in from day one, and it was let go egos, let go pride, and let's win. And therefore, to win, you gotta every day you gotta come to work. You gotta be the best you could be. You gotta be unselfish. You gotta help others. You gotta lead. And those things right there, by us putting all those together, that right there just is helping us become the team that we want to be. And what's crazy, we haven't started a game. We haven't played a game under Coach Campbell, but you see the difference of Coach Campbell coming in with us, and it's special.
Yeah, and so far, for this team and for this program, let's say I'm a future recruit. How would you recruit me? What is there something about SA that someone might not know they should know that can influence their decision on playing there?
If you was a recruit and you came on campus today, I would tell you, if you want to be special and you want to create something special from not someone else's legacy, but make your own legacy and be the first, maybe the first in your position or at the school to do something like that, come to South. Because I have plans to be special this year. Like a lot of people, there's a lot of things at South that haven't been done. And so it's so much opportunity for people to come in there and be the best they could be and do stuff that's never been done and leave your mark in history. And everybody want to be remembered. So if you want to be remembered, I would say come be a Jaguar.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, boy, y'all boys start skinning me like that, boy. If I had to skin y'all, man. Wrong with y'all.
Every team in the Sun Belt doing their own little thing, like upgrading. So,
right. So what are some of your school's upgrades?
We get a new campus stadium brought to our campus, and then we also just got moved to Adidas from Nike. And, they just done a lot of rebuilding, a lot of remodeling. Yeah. That's about it.
Y'all with Adidas.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, okay. Who are some players you watched growing up that you sort of emulated your game after?
Antonio Brown from the Pittsburgh Steelers, my role model.
What did you learn from Antonio Brown?
Just have a savage attitude, be a playmaker, go out and be yourself. He come from the same hood I come from, so, yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm from Belle Glade, Florida. Yeah.
Have you been to Boca?
Boca? Yeah, I've been to Boca.
Got buddies down there?
Nah, I ain't got no buddies down there, but I've been there.
Okay. Have you heard American Heritage?
Yeah. I played them in high school.
Which one? Plantation or?
No, I just played Heritage.
Oh,
Delray Heritage.
Oh, Delray?
Yeah.
So you coach Shosha or no?
I'm not sure who their coach was.
If I'm down, that's why I asked.
seen the city then, huh?
Nah, you didn't see the city.
Y'all just been around this area, basically?
Yeah. That's it.
Stadium with all your fans backing up new coaches that everybody's embracing, everybody is ready to see how it's going to be, and then for you guys to go out there and execute the things that you told everyone you was going to do before the season, and you actually pull it off. I feel like that's going to uplift our program as well as making all our guys like that much better in their life as men, as players, because they will see if you put in the work, you get the results. And that's basically how we feel like.
Yeah, and I mean, South Alabama, this is the 10th season, but there's still so many firsts to be, had. And so, I mean, is that kind of like what's like, out of all the goals that you have, like, what is one that, if you were able to achieve it, like one of the first for South, what would it be for you?
My biggest, I would say a conference championship, but I feel like I'm going to go even farther than that. Yeah. If I could achieve anything that's never been done, I want to win the first bowl game. That's big for this program. Like, first of all, just getting to a bowl game, I've only been to one, and that was like that was so special, just being able to be playing that at that time when everybody else is only watching you. And so for our program to win the first bowl game under a new head coach, a coach that everybody's embracing and loving, that's just too special.
Now, I know you and both you and Coach Campbell have said something about y'all take it one game at a time. Mm-hmm. How hard is it to shift the focus from focusing on that's the goal I want to get to, but we got to work on this one thing one game at a time?
See, at first you might think it's hard, but once you get your goals in line and then you start thinking about how do you want to achieve things, you have to take it one step at a time. And you can't, it's when you start trying to like skip steps or look past people, that's when your dreams or your plans get ruined because you overlook this person and you probably get a loss that you didn't expect because you didn't even take that person serious. And so therefore we're taking everybody serious. Everybody is somebody that we have to beat. Every game we have to win. So if we taking it one step at a time, we win every game, then we're accomplishing every goal that we set out to be because we're taking it one step at a time, we're winning, and we're just doing what we set our mind to do.
Well, I think that's it, unfortunately, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Tremendous job.
Excited about the opportunity. 2017 was a very, very special one here at Georgia State University for us because we won our first bowl game in school history, our first FBS winning season. A lot of great positives came out of it. When you reflect back on our season, we have a motto here, is start fast and finish strong, and we certainly didn't start so strong a year ago. But our team continued to progress and continued to learn, and our staff as well, and continue to develop and just build a winning trust. And they're playing on Thanksgiving against Appalachian State. We were still in contention for a conference championship. And that's something that hadn't been the case around Georgia State. So we've got tremendous momentum in the offseason, signed us a heck of a recruiting class, and now we're looking to 2018 to do many great things. I mean, to do a lot of firsts, just like we have done in the past, this past year, and to continue doing that and hopefully have the opportunity to compete for the championship. It's a great opportunity when I say opportunity now because we have the split between the East and the West. And, when you have when you're a head coach and you come out of spring, you have exit interviews and you do all kinds of things with your staff and with your players. And, one thing I really want them to understand is the opportunity to get that championship game and what it means to play for the championship. But I wanted to make sure the steps to get there were right in the front of their minds. So playing for the East Championship is something I think is very, very critical. And when you talk to your team and when you talk to your personnel, you really push that to the forefront. We've got to win the East. That's the number one goal that we have this year. Continue to develop great camaraderie, great leadership on the way to winning that East and playing for a Sun Belt championship. We've lost, several individuals from last year's football team, but we've added some talent. We've upgraded our personnel, both offensively, defensively, and our special teams wise. And I don't see why for any reason this can't be a special year for Georgia State football. Any questions?
Coach, what were some of the tangible benefits from playing in that first bowl game and winning that first bowl game?
Well, first of all, you're playing right there on CBS Sports. You're in the All-Nation Cure Bowl. What a great cause. The recruiting aspect, you get your name out there. Georgia State University football, Georgia State University. Now it's being spread. To win the first bowl game, people are talking about it. I don't know if you're familiar with the CBS Sports Minute, but that's something that went nationwide right there, all over the radio stations across the country. And it was something that was very, very unique. It's, making just a few recruiting trips right after the bowl win. And we're going into homes, we're going in to see recruits, but we're also going into just everyday restaurants, everyday establishments. And you walk in there and you have that logo and you have that Georgia State name on your shirt. And here's an individual. I mean, I can remember walking into a restaurant and a young lady, the hostess, comes from behind the counter. She's like, that was a great game. It's a heck of a job. First bowl win. Congratulations. I'm in Tallahassee, Florida. I mean, here I am. We've just taken the job a year ago. Nobody knows who Georgia State is. And we're walking in that facility and she comes out and she's proud. And then it happens again and again and again. And you can see it in our recruiting because our footprint in our recruiting has really expanded. We're starting to touch individuals from South Florida to you name it. So it did a lot for us.
Coach, last year, at least according to some, the team overachieved. At least it did better than I think many had predicted. You had an experienced team, though, that returned. This year you've lost some key people, as you mentioned, obviously the quarterback being a big loss. How are you going to maintain, can you maintain the success that you surprised people with last season with a younger team this season?
Yeah. Well, I'll start off by answering your question. You said we were kind of overachievers. Well, one of the things we talk about every single day is doing more than what's expected. None of you sitting in this audience a year ago expected us to go out there and have a winning record, play for a bowl, to even have the opportunity to play for a championship. So that's the mindset that we instill in every single one that walks through our doors, walks through our facility, that we're going to do more than what's expected. And that's how we achieved it. It wasn't because we had a lot of guys that have played a lot of playing experience. It had nothing to do with that. It was a mindset that we instilled the day we took over as a staff, the day I was hired as head coach, that we were going to be better than average. Because the average is the norm. I mean, whether you like it or not, if you walk around this room right there, there's a lot of average going on in this world today. So it's very easy. If you instill that in your players and they believe in it, and they don't have to buy in it, they have to believe in it, then you have an opportunity to achieve. And that goes with experience. That goes with a true freshman. So, I'm not really worried about replacing the experience that we had. To tell you the truth, the experience that we hadn't won a lot. They hadn't. So you ask yourself, what kind of experience do you want returning? Well, I want to build it from within. So I want the guys that are here. I want the guys that have never done the things before to want to go out and build it the right way, doing more than what's expected. And that's how we're going to achieve this year.
Coach, you talked about recruiting earlier, and obviously you share Atlanta with Georgia Tech, and then Georgia, UGA is up north. How do you have to go about recruiting being a smaller school, but still trying to get kids from the metro Atlanta area?
Well, first of all, we're not a smaller school. We have over 50,000 students. We're the largest public university in the state of Georgia. So we're not a smaller school. We're a Division I FBS football program. We're in the Group of 5 conference, not the Power 5, if that's what you're alluding to. So you have to go out. We certainly don't know. I mean, we know our recruiting targets. We're not targeting guys that Georgia's recruiting, and for the most part, Georgia Tech. But we do run in a little bit with Georgia Tech from now and then. But you really have to go out and you have to be smart. You have to really target individuals that are good fit for your university, good fit academically, and athletically. And how do they fit the system? We all have different philosophies in recruiting and how you're going to win. And my philosophy may be a little bit different for an offensive lineman that maybe Troy or Georgia Tech or Georgia. But we have such a fertile background right there in our own backyard that we have an opportunity to evaluate a lot of individuals. So we have the opportunity to recruit a lot of great football players right there in the state of Georgia. Sir?
So with one season, and really the only season that was played so far in your new stadium, how did it play out for your team this year? What was the experience like?
Well, it's an unbelievable facility. Georgia State Stadium, the transformation, our athletics department, Charlie Cobb, and our president, Dr. Becker, did an amazing job in obtaining that facility and turning it into a football facility. It gives us that true sense of and when you say the shock and awe, you had the opportunity to coach in the SEC a lot of years. You go see a lot of great stadiums, a lot of concrete, and you get overwhelmed by that. You walk through that tunnel, you look up, and as a recruiter, as a coach, or as a fan, you get overwhelmed by it. And when you walk in our facility, you do the same thing. I mean, you really do. I mean, it is first class and everything it is. The one thing we have to do is we've got to win. We've got to win in that facility now. But we're building our fan base. We're getting our students there, our administration, and we're doing everything possible. But it is probably, I know in the Group of 5 conference, probably one of the best stadiums in all of them. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good luck this season.
Thank you.
I really think he brought the best to our program. It's exciting.
On Saturdays before the game, who is the hype guy? I mean, is there and then like what does he do to get everyone else hyped? Is there that one guy that is just I mean just everybody gets to him and he just gets the team just yacked in the morning?
Well, Aaron always gives a speech, our quarterback. He always gives a speech, but to be honest, Coach Elliott gets really hyped in the locker room, and you got to stay away from him because he'll be punching you. He's running around jumping, like shoving people and stuff. He's crazy before a game. That's why he comes out so sweaty.
So he's already done that.
Oh, yeah, going crazy.
What about you? I mean, how do you get hyped? I mean, are you like a mellow guy? Like, are you listen to music? Do you kind of stay in your
I like to listen to my music, sit in my locker, just listen to music, and that's how I get going. I'm not one of them. I don't get up and jump around. I'm wasting calories and energy that I'm gonna need during the game. I like to listen to my music and get in my zone.
What type of music?
Well, I listen to country, but you can't listen to that before a game. So I like to listen to like Rick Ross, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's the other question. Is like we've been asking everybody like, is it Drake? Is it Meek Mill? Who are we talking about? Like how you get hyped? That type of stuff. So.
I like Meek a little bit before a game too. He's not
country,
bad.
No, like T Swift.
Nah, you can't get hyped to no country music before a game.
Are you like superstitious at all? Like, do you have like anything that like you won't do, or
is there a routine like you always have to do?
No, I always play the song just because it's something me and my dad always did, like the Hall of Fame. I always play Hall of Fame right before I go out every game, and then other than that, no, there's not really any tradition. I shower really hot shower the day I wake up before the game. That's about it, really.
Is there anybody on your team that has like the weird they do?
Not that I know of,
Like a
no.
weird chicken in a locker or something like that, like Major League?
No, I don't think so. I know Quan, he has to wear 2 pairs of socks, and his socks is always the same socks. Like, he never changes his socks for a
From
game.
week to week?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Each game he wears the same 2 pairs of socks.
That would fall. Well, awesome. Well, that's all we got, man. Like, I don't know why you said you hated interviews. You did fine.
Y'all's interviews is awesome. I like
You
it.
did great. You did good. Awesome. It was nice meeting you, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good luck this season, too.
Thank you. Am I good?
Welcome back to Sunbelt Media Day Live. I'm joined now by one of our special guests of the day, coordinator of officials, Steve Shaw. One of my favorite interviews, no doubt. Don't tell the student athletes, though. So,
okay,
Steve,
I won't. That'd
thanks
be our
for
secret.
joining me. So, we'll jump right into this. What is exciting for you about football season each and every season to get going?
It's really the preparation. All our officials are coming in this week. They'll be coming in Wednesday, so we got Thursday, Friday, Saturday where we do our fall clinic where we focus on their physical conditioning. We give them a rules test, but it's really more about watching video, learning, preparing for the season, and so it starts for us at that point. But really for our officials, it's 12 months now. It's no longer kind of get in shape for the season. We're working it all season long. That's what's exciting.
And speaking of video, you've seen a lot of video. Last year, the Sun Belt was the only Group of 5 conference to have collaborative replay. That's kind of changed this year, so explain the changes and the updates there for us.
Well, so we did, and we were really pleased with what happened in collaborative replay last year. We felt like our consistency was much better, and we avoided the dreaded incorrect outcome. So we're doing some changes in the video center to, one of the things everybody wants to do, keep the game moving. And so we've really, about 12% of our replays went beyond 2 minutes, and we want to cut that down. And really, when you think about it, if you're at 2 minutes and you don't know, well, if you don't know, let's get out of it and move on, because then we're just going to get in trouble trying to piece stuff together. So fans want to keep the game moving, and so I think that'll be our biggest improvement, the time, but really pleased in where we got to with the collaborative replay.
And similar to last year, you've got a slideshow for us, a couple rule changes, a couple video examples, so we're just going to breeze right through those, go one by one. And the first one, I believe, if we look at we're going to look at the monitor for us too.
Yep.
One of the rule changes that we're going to discuss, knee pads and pants.
Yep.
And that was one we talked about last year. So I want to know, what's the difference between last year and this year?
So it was actually a rule change that was made last year but takes effect this year. And the reason that is to give the equipment guys, to make sure they had all their equipment set up. So basically, and you can see the slide here, probably easier, what we're expecting now is the players' pants and knee pads must cover the knee. And if they don't do it, it's very similar to like helmet coming off. You have to go out. You have to stay out of play. And, we've seen, the most important commodity to a player is playing time. And so they don't want to be out for a play. So, in this slide, you can see from the example, the guy on the bottom left and even the middle left, if your pants are at the top of your knee, or some of the guys wearing, as we call them, Bermuda shorts, or looks like biker shorts, we're going to send them out of the game. And so the expectation is this player safety, but we want them to look uniform and cover the knee. So I want our guys, officials, worried about pass interference, blocks in the back, not knee pads, but we're going to enforce this. Hopefully the players comply and we don't have an issue with it.
So basically, boys, wear the uniform the correct way.
Exactly.
We don't want to see their knees. We don't want to see their bellies hanging out, all that, right?
Exactly. And even one of the things, and you see it on the slide, the T-shirt hanging down. This has kind of become a fashion trend. Is the jersey it used to have to be tucked in, but now it just has to be at waist level. But you would see these old T-shirts hanging out, and so now they either have to tuck that in or go out.
Gotcha. Well, we'll move on to the next one. Free kick, fair catch is one that I want to know a little bit more about.
Yeah, so this is really a player safety change, and what we have learned in the data. So the kickoff is our most dangerous play from a player safety, but touchback plays, the injury rate comes way down. And so what we're going to do this year is on like these sky kicks where they're trying to pin the receiving team in and hold them inside the 25, we're going to give the receiving team the option to call for and make a fair catch. If they do that, then the ball will belong to them at the 25, just like it was a touchback in the end zone. So I think the idea here is to make it a safer play and ultimately protect the kickoff play. And we have to, in an aside, we have to make that play safer, or we have a chance to lose it in our game. So this is a big rule change. It's going to be exciting to see how special team coaches react to this, but it will create more touchbacks, which in turn will have less player injuries, and that's a good thing.
Another rule into effect is the play clock after touchdowns and free kicks. What do we have there?
Well, and so this is a continuation. Last year we really worked on keeping the game moving. Halftime was kind of tightened up. We had better ball mechanics of our officials, worked with our TV partners. So basically we nationally, the game was 4 minutes shorter last year, and we didn't take any plays out. So we want to do, the rules committee has been challenged, how do you keep the game moving, but yet don't change the rule to take plays out? So what you'll see, two things that we'll have this year. After a touchdown, once it's a touchdown and the ball's dead, then we go to a 40-second play clock. The intent is keep the game moving. Let's get them out there. Let's get the extra point done. And then same thing after the kickoff, 40-second play clock. And before, these two areas were 25-second clocks. And so, however long it took us to get them off the field for celebration and everything else, and then we would have it ready for play. Now, 40-second play clock, they know they got to get in and get moving. And I think this is another area where we'll shorten the game but not take plays out of the game. And that's what the coaches want. And really, that's where this started, is the fans. The fans, they don't complain if it's 3 hours and 10 minutes or 15 or whatever, but they complain with just dead time, sitting in the stands with nothing going on. So this will be an attempt to keep the game moving.
And speaking of fans always see this next one, blocking below the waist. They will call anybody out on that one. So what do we have going there?
So really, so blocking below the waist can be very complex, but there's really two main changes here. First is, so no changes to the guys in the tackle box on the line of scrimmage. They can block any direction. They can't clip, but below the waist. But now everybody else that does block below the waist, it has to be directed from the front, so not from the side. And then probably the biggest change is for the offense, 5 yards or beyond, no blocking below the waist. So we still have the crack back. You can't come back toward the original position of the ball, what we call the peel back. You can't block back toward your own inline low. But now with the blocking below the waist, nothing beyond 5 yards. Again, a player safety issue. But once that play gets downfield, it really becomes an open scrimmage play, very much like a kick return or an interception return, which we don't allow blocking below the waist. And we actually have 3 clips here that we can illustrate that with.
All right, well, let's see if we can get those clips queued up.
So this first play, if we go back to the original set, the lineup, you're going to see, let's see if we can go back to that first play. We see the H-back on it right there coming down, blocking the nose. Very dangerous block from the side. That would now be illegal because it's not from the front. The second play that we had here was an illustration where now the offense beyond 5 yards, if you're going to watch, there's a back that's coming downfield right there. He's going to make a low block, very dangerous block. And because that block, it'll come in right there. Because it's beyond 5 yards now is an illegal block. And then the third play we have is actually the defense. I think most fans don't realize from a defensive perspective, they can only block below the waist within 5 yards either side of the ball. And here's a play downfield where you see a defensive back cutting a lineman. Again, very dangerous play. And so now that is an illegal block. So very complicated, but basically what we're trying to do is still allow the low blocks, but make them safer from the front and have areas where they can't make blocks below the waist.
And the next rule change we have is leaping, which I know you have a couple video examples of that as well, and that was also a discussion that we had last year.
It was, and really this is a refinement of what we had last year, and really defining now what is a foul. And so on an extra point or field goal, if you run forward and you leap, what we're saying now is every player has a frame, the frame of their body, which is basically shoulder width. If you get in the plane above that, it's a foul as you're leaping to block the kick. Unless you're lined up within a yard of the line of scrimmage, then you can do whatever. So let's roll a couple of the examples. The first one we're going to see here, this is what got the conversation started. Here's the player that he leaps over the entire offensive line, and people say, well, that's not a safety issue. I mean, he didn't touch anybody. But even though he made it, the reality is, and as we see the next video clip, most people don't make it. 99 out of 100 times they're not. And so what happens? So here you see a guy. He's either going to kick the center in the head or he's going to go down on his head into the ground. A very dangerous play, and we're really trying to take that out. And so that would be a foul. But, then here's a play where guys run forward, leap, don't get into the frame. That's a good play. As you can see, those two players coming forward, leaping, and here they go again. That's legal. They didn't get into the frame of an opponent. That's just a good play. And so that's why we kind of changed the wording. And then here's one where this guy is lined up within a yard of the line, and then he actually jumps over a player, pretty athletic move. but that would be legal. And the idea is just not to run forward and lead. And then we've got a couple clips on punts that we'll look at. One is leaping the shield. Very similar rule here. This player going over the shield, that's a foul. He's in the plane above the frame of that player. And that's a dangerous play that we just want to take out. But here's an example of how you can go through a shield. Here's a player. Look at number 19. You're going to see right there. He leaps through the shield. That's legal. That's a good play.
And one of the last ones I want to touch on is instant replay and the 10-second
Yeah.
runoff. I know that's something that's kind of been in discussion. And I know you've got some examples of that one as well, I believe.
Yeah, we do. Just to talk through it first, because 10-second runoff is a very complicated rule. But anytime you have a replay stop where the clock would have never stopped inside of a minute. So here's a play. You see we're going to have an interception return for a touchdown. And you're going to go back and look at this, and replay is going to come in and look at this quarterback. I think you'd agree, all right, his knee's down right there, okay? So now what will happen is we would reset the clock. So if we can pause it right here, we know from the other shot his knee is down. There's 47 seconds. So we're going to reset the clock to 47, but then there's a 10-second runoff on top of that. And that's really an equity because had we ruled him down here, the offense would have had a hard time getting a play off within 10 seconds. So it's equity, and then the clock at this point is going to start on the ready for play from the referee.
Well, Steve, I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me and talk some rule changes. Is there any last-minute things that we need to know heading into this season that we don't already know that we've discussed?
Well, we have a list. If we go back to there's a number of other changes that maybe are more minor changes. The one thing I will say, because fans always talk about it, targeting, we're not making a change in targeting, but we are that stays as our number one priority as officials. So we got to continue to work to make it safer game, get the head out. And as you can see from here, probably the one that I will mention here is field goal penalty enforcement. Now it is just like the extra point. The extra point, let's say you have a personal foul or an unsportsmanlike, say roughing the kicker, you can carry that over to the kickoff. But on a field goal, you never could carry it over. Now we align those together, so on a field goal, if there's roughing the kicker, you could take the points off the board and penalize, or if you want to keep your points, you can have that foul administered on the kickoff.
Well, Steve, thanks so much again. I really appreciate it, and best of luck this season. And I believe now we're going to see Neil Brown from Troy at the podium.
It's a big game for us at Troy. I really believe it's a big game for the Sun Belt Conference as well. We opened it up there last year and really just didn't play very well. Our defense showed up and I thought did a really good job of, at times, controlling that game. But on offense and special teams, we did not play very well at all. A punt return and 2 big kickoff returns. And then on offense, just really struggled, especially on third down. So to get them back and have another opportunity, they're going to have a quality football team that won 10-plus games last year, Mountain West Conference champions. I really expect our fans to turn out. It's going to be a 5 o'clock game, and so I think it's going to be a great day for college football.
Coach, last year, obviously, a very successful year for this program. What have you told your program and your players about possibly repeating or maybe even finishing better this season, this coming season?
It's funny, and you go around. I've been watching a lot of these media days, and we don't ever use the word repeat. I talk about a new year, new challenge. This is a new football team. I think one of the exciting things about being a coach is you never know what the ebbs and flows are going to be. You know what adversities you're going to hit, who's going to step up. That's one of the people always ask me, what are you fired up about camp for? I'm fired up about to see who's gotten better over the last 3 months. I'm fired up to see who's going to make that big jump because somebody in our program is going to make a tremendous jump over the next 2 weeks.
And then just following up on that, you mentioned players stepping up. What have you seen so far? I know you mentioned 2 weeks for that window, but in terms of that QB battle between Caleb and Sawyer, is there someone who at this point stands out in your mind or is starting to stick out?
No, it's going to come down to those 2 guys. We've got a lot of faith in Caleb and Sawyer. It's a unique situation. Neither one of them's ever been our starting quarterback, but both of them have game experience as a backup quarterback. I think also something that's forgotten, but I don't think it should be, is in spring of 17, Brandon Silvers missed the whole spring. So Caleb Barker and Sawyer Smith split reps in that spring. So now they've had a full spring, all right, in 17. They've had a full spring in 18. Now it's a full fall camp. So they're going to be ready. And my thoughts on quarterback competition, as I told you earlier, is somebody's going to win that job in fall camp. It's not going to be necessarily my decision or coach's decision. Somebody's going to go out and win that job, and I fully expect that to happen.
Coach, obviously that LSU game was a big one for y'all, kind of put y'all on the map last year. Is there anything tangible you kind of saw as a result of that? Has it helped your program since then?
Well, I think you probably can't put it into one question or one answer, honestly. I think the branding for our university has probably been the biggest. It's helped us. Our application numbers are up. Our season ticket sales are up. Our recruiting's improved. So I think all of them, it goes back to that game. I really do. And I think the important thing to note on that is that was the third time we've played them in recent history. Had an opportunity to close it out in 2004. I wasn't part of that staff. 2008, I was part of that staff and had a big lead, didn't finish it. So finally get over the hump and actually finish that game down in Baton Rouge was huge for our program, and it's huge for us moving forward.
Is that something you can use as advertisement? I mean, do you promote that?
Oh, yeah, we promote it. It's no different. For me, it's no different. You promote conference championships, all right? We promote the 3 national championships we've won at a lower level, and we promote those big wins. Not just LSU, beat Oklahoma State, beat Mississippi State. We've had some quality wins. We're not just a program that showed up last fall. All right, we're not. I mean, that win was huge. It doesn't necessarily define who we are as a football program, though.
Hey, Neil, Adam Hunsucker from the Monroe News Star. You mentioned it yourself. You guys have been 21-5 the past 2 years, and then you look at some of the other jobs that the coaches in this league have done. But I think it's kind of interesting that, we go through another offseason, y'all are still in this league. Do you, looking at coaches getting those Power 5 opportunities, do you think there might be some kind of a bias against Sun Belt coaches, or how do you explain the fact y'all are still here?
Well, I think last year was a unique opportunity, and I don't think there was. I think maybe 1 or 2 group of 5 coaches moved on to Power 5 level. I think if you also look at the coaches in this league that are still at their chosen university, they're there for a reason because there's a really good place. At Troy, if you want to know what you look at the past. Well, Troy's won at every level, from Division II to FCS, now at the Division I level. We're in a geographic region where we can always get players, and I think the same can be said if you're talking to Blake when he gets up here from Arkansas State. All right, Scott Satterfield. Those are in really good places. So I think you got to look at the places they're choosing not to leave rather than jobs that were potentially open.
Speak a little bit about the running back situation.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to be more by committee. Coming out of the spring, B.J. Smith was the starter at that position. It's going to be a really good – I'm intrigued to see how it's going to play out. Jamarius Henderson's probably our most talented guy at that position. He's got to prove that he can stay healthy. That's the first and foremost. He's probably going to be as critical to our success as anybody. If he'll take the next step, which it's time, he's going to be a redshirt junior. It's time for him to take the next step. If he does that, he'll add a whole other dimension to our running game, and he's also a threat out of the backfield. Jabir Fry comes back. And then we've got a couple other pieces that I think got a chance to step up and show us what they can do in fall camp as well. You can take it around.
Now going back to that LSU win, I mean, part of the teams in the Sun Belt who have had big wins like that, and I mean, all the coaches and even the commissioner have been talking about getting that New Year's 6 spot. Each time that season comes around and not get that, and then adding a championship game where that might cause another trip somewhere on perhaps a undefeated season. Just what are your thoughts on that, and what are the struggles that are part of those seasons where you do get that win but don't get to that next level? I mean, does that become frustrating?
I'll say this. The Sun Belt is a league that's continuously improving. And I don't think that you ever go – I think there's steps. There's a process that you take to get to the ultimate. And it's no different when you're building a program. It's no different when you're a conference and you're making improvements year in, year out. And I think this league, the Sun Belt Conference, is continually making improvements. And as this league – and it starts with administrations. Administrations have made a huge financial contribution to those football programs. You look at the level of coaching at every league, all 10 spots. Okay, some great football coaches in this league, all right? They're putting money into facilities. So you got the facilities, you got the coaching. Everybody in our league has a recruiting footprint. So as those things evolve, you're going to see a Sun Belt Conference team represent the group of 5 in that bowl game. When, I don't know, but I really do fully expect for that to happen.
Coach,
Blaise Brown, went. I believe he was named to the NFL.com's top 10 watch list just on Thorpe Award Watch Center winner today. Can you just speak about what he brings to your program, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and what it's like to just have a lockdown corner who can make it challenging for opposing offenses?
Blaise has a tremendous story. Walk-on wide receiver. Comes to our program. We switch him over to corner right before the 2016 season, and he kind of takes off. He finds the ball, several interceptions, one of the top in the country in interceptions over the last 2 seasons. Had a knee injury in the Arkansas State game last year. He's coming back. We fully expect him to be back for the Boise game. But he's one of the best players on our defense. He's been one of the most productive players in our program over the last 2 years.
Coach, you had several very close wins this past season. How much of that could you credit to having a veteran quarterback, and what does the loss of having a 3-year starter like that mean for the team this season?
Well, we were able to close out some games late, and we were able to close out a couple by running the football and running the timeout. We were able to win a couple coming from behind, and I think that's one thing. And Brandon had a really good feel for the 2-minute offense. And being able to close out games. He's a real calm guy. He was never bothered. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad, honestly. But he handled those situations at a really high level. How Sawyer, how Caleb are going to handle it, I don't know because they've never been into it. But I think a lot of it has to go into preparation and not necessarily the individual kid, but those situations that we spend a lot of time with, not only in fall camp but also in spring practice. So we'll continue to prepare, and we have full faith that whichever quarterback is put in that position that they can do some of the same things that Brandon did late in the game.
With the championship game too, being a coach who's had to share a championship with the team that you didn't end up playing in the regular season. I mean, this year, how much of a difference does that make just on the season itself, but also seeing another team that might push you up perhaps in rankings? I mean, how much of a change does that present?
Well, the conference championship game, first and foremost, is a tremendous opportunity for the players and the staff to have that reward. And it's a huge reward for the host school. If you're able to host that, what a reward for your fans. I think what it does is, as a Sun Belt Conference, now we're put in that spotlight on Championship Saturday, where all our peer conferences are playing. What it does is it elevates the league even further. So I think it's all positives. Will it have an impact on being the Group of 5 representative? I don't know. It's so hard to tell. I've gotten asked a lot today about our game with App, and I've said this. I just hope it means something by the time we get there. I hope we can do our part where the game actually means something, but it's so far away. But our goal, we've changed our goals. Our goal is to win the division and play in that conference championship game.
Coach, you have 10 or 11 guys on the preseason or the all-conference team. What's just kind of your outlook on the talent level that you guys bring back next year?
We've got a lot of players, especially on the defense side of the ball, that played a lot. We had those, but we weren't picked to win our side, too. I think that's important. I think it goes back to missing having to replace some key cogs on the offensive side. We've played a ton of people on defense, especially over the last 2 years. So even though some of those guys weren't technically starters, they played the same amount of snaps as our starters. So I'm looking forward. There'll be some guys that aren't necessarily talked about on the preseason awards list that'll come up and be really significant contributors for us, and guys that have potential to be all league.
Coach, over here, I was over interviewing the players, so if this question was asked, I apologize. But Hunter, a walk-on, and now you bring him here his senior year. What does that say about the player that he is, and then does that kind of send a message to your freshmen that it doesn't matter if you're a scholarship or a walk-on, everyone's going to get their shot to be a star here at Troy?
Well, we have a huge sign as you walk into our facility. It talks about walk-ons who've earned scholarships, and it's really a tremendous list. There's NFL draft picks on that list. There's most valuable player in a conference in that list, several first-team all-conference players on that list. And his story is totally unique than all those other. You're talking about a guy that came as a safety, okay, as a true freshman, came as a safety. That was Coach Blakeney's last fall, so the fall of 2014. We kind of he had to go and move to what we call our bandit position, which is kind of a hybrid defensive end outside linebacker position. That spring of 15 is still his true freshman year, and he had a knack about it. and Tony Garcia, who was our starting left tackle at the time, they went head-to-head. And here Hunter Reese weighed 195 pounds. Tony Garcia is 285, 290, ends up being a third-round draft pick. And he just had a knack about making plays, and he does a really good job in some twist games. And so later that, in the fall of 15, Tyler Roberts, who was a first-team All-League at that position, had an injury, and we didn't find out till late. So he got thrust in playing against App State, who was a conference champion that year. Or at least, I'm sorry, they finished runner-up that league, one of the better teams in our league in 15. And he played, made some plays, continued 16, and then this year claimed that starting spot and goes from 195-pound walk-on safety to a 220, 225-pound defensive end, first-team all-conference. So it's a great story. It's really unique.
Coach, given the rise and success of the program over the last 2 years, is this a program, a team that you feel can still creep up on people and take people by surprise, or are we past that phase?
Well, I think the expectations have risen, and I think that I think every coach that comes up here at the podium would embrace high expectations, because what it means is everything is based off last year. And everybody's got the same record at this point for this season. So everything is based on last season. And so I think every coach would welcome high expectations, because that means you had a good past season. So I think our standards have risen without question. And our hope is this. We want to build a really a championship tradition there. We want to be a program, and not just a team. We want to be a program that year in, year out has an opportunity to compete in this league. Doesn't mean that we're going to win it every year, but we want to be in the running each and every year to compete for that conference championship. Anybody else? NFL coaches. I spent a lot of time in the off season. You know, the guy that's right here, Sean Payton, I think is terrific. I think he does a great job offensively. I think what Sean McVay did last year with the Rams is really impressive. I kind of look at him because he's young, you know, and but it's funny. I do all my NFL watching in the off season. During the season, you know, that's our work days on Sunday, so I don't get to see any of it. So I'm watching coach copy rather than TV copy. But those are a couple guys I like. There's a bunch of them though. Finishing up here, I want to say thank you all for coming. I appreciate y'all being here. The media is a big part of what we do. I appreciate you promoting Troy and Sunbelt Conference and college football in general. Thank you.
Against him, he could punt the ball like crazy too for a tight end. Yeah. He's in the NFL now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He got drafted. Yeah, I think he was like a fifth round, sixth round. Yeah, because he had a good game in that one. That was crazy. He's still been training. He's back in. I think he's in Troy still. I'm not sure, but last time I told him, he said he's been training and stuff. Yeah, Chun. I told Chun he's my nephew. I call both Emmett. Yeah, and then it's crazy how he went to the Cowboys. It's crazy.
He's going on to the. I mean, that's only a half a year, but I mean they played throughout the year. I don't know. You know what I mean though? Yeah, like it's just game experience, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Start there and ask the best running backs.
Both of them are great quarterbacks. I connect with both of them. I've been working with them for like 2 years now, and they're both very competitive, and I both connect with them like off the field, on the field. I'm always hanging with both of them, so I feel like they both have their ups and downs, but they're really good to me.
Fair to say that y'all feel good with whoever.
Yes, sir. Like most of the time in practice, I don't even know who's back there until I look back and say, "Oh, okay." Well, yeah.
The running back situation for several years now, y'all been really stacked there.
Yes, sir.
All of a sudden, it's a little thin this year. There's a lot of unanswered questions, but some talent back there.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about some of those guys, and let's start with Janarius. I know he's got a lot of talent.
Yes, sir. That's because we call him like a little horse because he can run. He can run. He's really powerful for his size. And I saw that a lot last year. And like BJ's been like the top one in like workouts this summer. I feel like BJ's gonna be like he's really gonna carry that group because they look at him as like their leader.
Tell me a little bit about him. I don't know a lot about him.
He's from
I'm hearing about him.
He's from Stanhope, I think he's in Montgomery. Yes, sir. And he's really good. He played a lot last season.
He's a quick type guy.
He's kind of like everything, honestly. He can do a lot. Yes, sir.
You're a guy who's been durable throughout your career. I mean, you started a bunch of games in a row.
Yes,
What's the secret there? Is it lucky, or are you just?
I'm
as
just.
far as health?
I feel like basically I'm just like I'm blessed to be, anything can happen to me. I've been able to be like healthy, and that's been my biggest thing.
Y'all start off the season with a really tough schedule with Boise, and then not so tough maybe the second week, but then y'all got Nebraska and then go to Monroe.
Yes, sir. I think so. Yes, sir.
Talk about preparing for that during the off season. Does it make it easier, a little more easier preparing for what's out there?
We kind of take it like it's a one. Coach Brown tells us to go 1-0 every week. We have a big old banner downstairs. I think it says 1-0. So we kind of like focus on what's that week and like that game. What's over next game is up next is going to be the next best game for us. And I know for Boise right now, we really waiting for them to come to town so we can get back what happened last year. Yes, sir.
Maybe let one get away last year.
Yeah, I feel like as an O-line group, we felt like we let that one go. But of course, there's a lot of people that didn't play that really have that playing experience. But it kind of messed with them a little bit. But I think we should be good.
You've been out here since Saturday night, I guess.
We got here yesterday. Yes, sir.
What's this been like for you?
It's been nice. We down here for the bowl game, so like it's not really a surprise, New Orleans.
Right.
So it's been really fun.
What's the actual media day experience?
Oh, media day. I didn't know like. It's cool because I didn't know all this that goes on behind it. We're similar to watching them talk on the TV because, you never really see that side of the TV and, like, the little podcast things we did, radio. That was really cool.
It's a long day, right?
Oh, yeah, it's a long day.
Is it fun to kind of mingle with other players?
Yes, sir. We talked to a couple teams, like Texas State, Coastal, and because we got a couple teammates from my high school that went to those schools also, so it's kind of good to connect with them also. Yes, sir. No problem. Thank you.
Nice to meet
you. You too.
And if it's not, then we'll find something else to do inside. So.
And you got me curious. Obviously, I hope you have a long playing career, but afterwards, what do you want to do?
I mean, obviously, I'd love to go to the NFL. That'd be cool. But I mean, I'm a realist. Like I understand that not everybody gets a shot to do that. So
it's not like it's like a 40-year career.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna have to do something after that. Yeah. But I want to be a coach. I don't know what level yet, high school or college. I'm still kind of exploring with that. So I'm not sure yet. But I want to be a coach and help young people and stay involved with the sport.
Before I leave, can I just get a quick photo of your ring? I just saw it on.
Oh yeah.
I love these bolt rings. Is that the conference championship ring?
That was conference championship last year.
Last year. Awesome.
Right.
Let me just get a quick photo of that. Obviously, I like rings. So.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No
Yeah,
problem with that.
It was good meeting you. Hey,
You too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
care.
Hey, how you doing?
John.
Oh, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Let's start with the schedule.
Mhm.
Look at that thing. You got Boise, and then you'll have Florida A&M, but then you go to Nebraska.
Right.
And you go to Monroe.
Uh-huh.
That's a tough stretch to
Yeah.
open the year.
That is a good little opening stretch, but I mean, if we can get through that, if we can get through the opening stretch, then that can and be successful, then that can set us up for more success longer down the road.
Is it easier on the off season to prepare for something like what y'all are about to have to go into, with Boise being the first game, that kind of thing? Is it not even?
I mean, we know we play them first, and we know that they're a good team and we have to work hard. But I don't think it doesn't matter who it was. I don't think that would change how we've been working. We've been really getting after it and putting in some good work this summer. So, and I don't think the schedule would change that at all.
Y'all finished really strong last year.
Mm-hmm.
Second
Yeah.
Is that for the chip ownership?
No, I don't. We don't care about all that preseason stuff. The game. Good thing the game's not played on paper. We wouldn't have a chance. So we don't worry about it. We just go to work every day and try to be the best team we can be, and that's just it.
You're a senior.
Mm-hmm.
Has it gone by fast for you?
Yes, it has. Last year, because last year was really my first year of playing in every game. Because my sophomore year, I was starting to get more playing time, getting some action on special teams and on defense, and I tore my UCL, and that kind of put me down for really the rest of the season. I really didn't get a chance to play after that, but yeah, it's flew by. Ever since I got here in 2014 till now, it's going by so fast.
It's been an incredible story with walking on it all, and now you're looked on, I would think, as a leader. Do you like that, or do you embrace that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a blessing to be, you know, recognized as, for you even to be asking me that, like that's a blessing to me. Like I mean, I've always believed in myself, but just to hear it from other people and like see people say stuff like that to me, it's just a blessing.
Y'all are really good as a unit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like y'all have that same capabilities this year?
Absolutely. I mean, I can just mostly speak for the defense, but I feel like this team this year is just as close as it was last year, if not closer. And you know, all the guys are working hard. We don't have a lot of complainers and negative guys, and I feel like we're a really tight unit, and that'll help us out in the long run.
And I know the game's just played on that turf, but when you walk out in that stadium the way it's looking now, all of a sudden, is it exciting?
Oh yeah, it is. It's just, football's getting close. It's almost back in there, and no season like it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
No problem. Thank you. Nice to meet you. I'll see you around.
Yeah. That blue turf is kind of funky. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I always wonder with like for players. You used to green all the time. You go on that field, and it's like okay.
And they were all blue too. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well.
There's always this kind of running conversation of are they just camouflaging themselves the whole time, especially? Or I don't know. Did you see? This wasn't even Boise State. This was Kansas. They had that one player several years ago lie down in the end zone.
I saw that. He ran down there and lied down and then threw the ball.
Blended in.
It's crazy.
Anyway, so do you know? I mean, obviously, I hope you have a very long playing career.
Now joined by Marcus Green of the ULM Warhawks here at Sunbelt Media Day Live. And Marcus, it's an exciting time for you guys, and an exciting time for you as you were just named to the preseason All Sunbelt First Team Offense and Special Teams. So we'll make this kind of short and sweet. And first I want to talk about your offensive skill set. So what have you seen from ULM in the past couple years that you think is going to be a strength for the offense moving forward into this season?
I feel like we have one of the best receiving corps in the conference. So I feel like with that, we can spread the ball around. You know, guys won't be able to double cover or, pick a receiver that they want to, focus on. So I feel like if we can spread the ball around, it'll be hard for teams to cover us. And
you all only lost one wide receiver going into this year, and you returned 9 starters. How important is that consistency for you guys on that side of the ball?
That's very important because I feel like that last season, I feel like we left a lot of points, on the board. So I feel like if we come out, like we're supposed to, and with the same people that we had last year and the chemistry that we've built, I feel like we'll be off to a great start.
And another area that you're pretty talented in is the special teams, obviously. You returned, 3 kickoffs for touchdown? 4. Yeah, I was trying to tally. I knew I'd messed it up. What is the secret to finding that open spot on the field and doing that?
It's about the other 10 guys in front of me. They set up their wedge, they set up their blocks, and they do a pretty good job of clearing it out for me and giving me an easy lane to go through and get to the end zone.
Do those other guys, when they do interviews, do they give credit to you in the same way that you did for them?
Always. They always give credit.
Because if you guys don't, you definitely should. That was very nice of him. And just, your last question, another talent that you have off the field, which I love to get to know people off the field, is that you actually drum for your church. So how did you get into being a drummer for church? And I want to see some skills. Do we have anyone, can you do it here? No?
I'd probably need a drum set for that. But when I go back home, I play the drums. It all started with one of our drummers was absent one day. And, I've always played behind closed doors. And my mom came to me and she was like, you have to play this Sunday. So I just finally practiced and got over my stage fright of playing drums in front of people. And so once I started doing that, now it's regular when I go back home. I enjoy playing the drums and doing anything in the church.
And we're actually, before we do close this out, we're going to go back to football a little bit. December 1st, first Sunbelt Championship game. What does that mean for you guys, and how does that raise the bar for you?
I think it raises the competition because instead of having, the top team in the conference wins it automatically. It's they split the divisions up or split the Sun Belt Conference up, and they're just gonna have the top 2 teams from that side battle it out. So I think it's gonna make it a little more competitive in our conference.
Great. Well, Marcus, thank you so much for joining me. You guys, you got to watch out for this guy on the ULM side of the ball. Scary on offense, scary on special teams. So I can't wait to see what you guys can do this season.
Thank you.
divisions and having the championship game. This is a very exciting year, and Georgia Southern is very happy to be a part of it. Last year at Georgia Southern, it was not up to the expectations and the standards that we believe in at Georgia Southern, and so I had the opportunity to take over halfway through, and players did a good job of finishing at the end of the season, and got the opportunity to be the head football coach there, and having the opportunity to put the plan in place starting in January, and our guys really buying into what we are preaching, and going through recruiting, spring ball, and summer workouts. These guys are headed in the right direction. We're excited about the football season, and looking forward to seeing the product that Georgia Southern puts on the field. And at this time, I'll open it up for questions.
All right, Coach, you alluded to you came in with 6 games left in the season. How has the offseason been with the new coaching staff and just getting into your first season?
It's been really good. Obviously, when you take over as an interim coach, coaching staff is what it is. And then, when you have the opportunity to put your coaching staff together, we were very intentional in getting guys that fit Georgia Southern, fit the Georgia Southern culture, and, making sure that we were putting guys in place as a staff that would fit our current players also. and was able to get two really good coordinators in Bob DeBest and Scott Sloan. And I really feel like as a whole, the staff is a group that really wants to see Georgia Southern get back to what Georgia Southern football is.
Coach, you've been at Georgia Southern under 4 separate head coaches, as I recall. And what do you draw from your experience under those regimes into how you've formed your own coaching philosophy for where you want Georgia Southern to be?
One of my goals in life was to be a head football coach, and so everybody that I've worked under, even at Georgia Southern, even at other places, I wanted to make sure that I took something from them. But Georgia Southern is a special and very unique place, and having the ability to be under Coach Seawalk and Coach Monk and the under center triple option guys, and just seeing how that stuff works, and what goes into it to make the offense run, and then having the opportunity to be under Coach Willie Fritz and seeing us also be able to run the option out of the gun. It was definitely something that was important to me to make sure that we had that staple in place as we move forward at Georgia Southern. And then when you start talking about special teams and defense, man, it's just been about fanatical effort, and that's something that we're not going to drop off of when we talk about defense and special teams and offense. Fanatical effort and guys just really playing hard.
Coach, was there one thing that sort of you could tell the flip switching last year toward the end of the year?
As an interim coach, there's some things you want to implement right away, but you can't because you're right in the middle of it. And so, I was very intentional in trying to bring some positivity back, because when you're at 0-6, there's not a lot of positivity in the building, and so wanted to make sure that that came back, having fun playing the game. And that we were very intentional in that, and then we were also intentional of simplifying things so our guys could go out and play fast and play hard. So I'd say the positivity, the simplicity, that stuff allowed us to play better toward the end of the season. We did not end the season with a win, but being able to get 2 of the last 3, I thought it was important springboarding us into this year. As far as moving forward, obviously some of the things that we did last season will move forward but also too being able to put that stamp on it, what our expectations are, what our standards are, and trying to exceed those standards were something that we've really concentrated on. We can talk a lot about X's and O's, but when it comes down to it, it's about the culture of your team. It's about your team being bought in, and it's about your staff being bought in, and all of us going in the same direction, and all of us wanting the same thing. So I'm excited about seeing what this team is going to bring to the table this year, and obviously I think we put a really good staff together, and I think the guys really like the staff that we have in place.
You mentioned the winless start, and the very first win you guys get is a 52-0 game. I mean, just how did that come together, and how much does that play into the off season and getting a win like that? I mean, just that game entirely.
Well, I think what you saw when we got to that game, we had 3 games before that, and I thought that when you watch it and you watch it closely, you dissect it closely, you saw us improve each and every week. So, the first 3 games of the interim part, we didn't win, but you saw improvement game after game after game. And then I think it just all came together in that game. There were guys on our football team that have talent, and we needed to make sure that we were using their talent, and we were making sure that we had an identity. I think we had kind of lost that, toward halfway through the season, and it was just very important to get those guys on offense and defense and special teams say, this is our identity, this is where we're going to roll, we're going to be positive with it, we're going to keep it simple, and we're going to play as hard as we can, and I think that's what you saw happen in that 4th game.
Coach, Shai Werts coming back for his 2nd year. What can we expect from him in the offense in general?
Shai is somebody that I think is very fits us very well. He's a guy that was thrown into the fire as a redshirt freshman last year, and lots of times I felt like he kind of relied on his athletic ability instead of fundamentals and things like that. So what we're doing on offense with the gun triple, I think fits him very well. He has the ability to run, he can make decisions, and he throws the ball decent, and that's something that we want to make sure that we're getting better with him fundamentally. And so we've put a lot of time in that in the offseason to make him a better fundamental quarterback. And he's a student of the game also. He comes in, he makes sure he puts in the extra work that he's not required to do. He comes in, he gets the extra stuff in, and, I expect to see big things out of him this year.
Two questions, Coach. One, outstanding recruiting class so far. Can you give us a little word on that? And also, what have you done to change the pride and the overall school spirit? Georgia Southern, I'm a Georgia boy myself, from like the early 2000s, back in the heyday.
Well, to answer your question on recruiting, it was a testament to our coaches, but also to our players. With the new signing day in December, being the first year of that, there was a lot of expectations. There were a lot of, pressure to sign your whole class in December. But I just didn't feel like that was quite where we needed to go with a new hire at offensive coordinator, new hire at defensive coordinator. I felt like it was very important that we went out and got the right fits for our offense and defense. And so we did we signed 8 guys at mid-year, and that was kind of the nucleus. We felt good about them. We felt they fit what we wanted to do. And then going into January, a lot of people look at it and say you took a big-time gamble. And but I just didn't want to bring people in that was not going to fit what we wanted to do. And so in January, we were very methodical about going after those right guys. And what we did was sell the vision of the program. But to go back to what I said, our coaches really recruited their butts off. They really, and did a good job of selling our program. But when we got those guys on campus, what we saw was our players were a total buy-in. They were selling the program. They were selling what we were talking about as a coaching staff, and that's what led to a really good recruiting class. And looking forward to seeing what we do as a staff and as a team recruiting this year with a full year in place. As far as, getting the excitement back at Georgia Southern, I don't think it was ever gone. I think what it is just, people believing in what we're doing, just like we're talking about with our players. Again, as the interim coach, I was intentional about trying to go out and get some excitement, back in it, and get people coming out to games and stuff. And so, I think the big piece is just making people feel good about we understand the traditions of Georgia Southern, we understand the expectations at Georgia Southern, and we understand that it's not acceptable, to go 2-10, and it's not acceptable not to be competing for the Sun Belt Championship and not competing in a bowl game. And those are the expectations, and it's to win at Georgia Southern. And so, obviously we've been preaching that to our players, and I believe the players have been talking that way, and I believe our coaches have been talking that way, and I think that brings excitement when we get that going. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all having me.
I'm not a dancer.
Well, you're a senior now. What about the next wave coming in? These freshmen. Anybody jumping out to you? I mean, you guys are a young team.
Oh yeah, we got a couple of guys. Boy, CJ Wright really trying to keep him on the radar because that's a young bull for real. And Zion McGee, Andrew Cunningham. We got a couple guys that got some good mileage on them. So
is there like I don't want to say like a right or for them to kind of earn your respect, or is it from day one you guys are? I mean, because we talked to another player that basically he was like, we make them, they got to take the stairs if they ever want to go up anywhere. We take the elevators, like that type of deal. I mean, do they kind of have to do anything?
I mean, it was
freshman orientation or anything like that.
Well, I mean, you got some of the freshmen that kind of come in and just, they'll get the big head and they think they all this and that. But this class, they wasn't like that, and they was like, they really was eager to learn and just really just trying to figure out ways that how they can help us win. And so whether they have to do scout team or doing extra stuff on the side, so that's why I kind of tip my hats off to them guys, because they really came in wanting to work and willing to work.
You guys struggled last year. What can people? You got a first-year head coach. What can people really expect out of this Georgia Southern team? I mean, you got so many people coming back, but do you feel like there's been a switch that's been flipped at all, or what can people kind of expect this coming year?
You can just expect for us to getting back to Georgia Southern football. it's a lot more positive. It's a lot of positive energy. The players, they respond well to Coach Longford, and just a good, a lot of good energy and good vibes, and like players are really relaxed and they'll be able to play.
You already see a difference. I mean, just over the. I mean, yeah, he came in late last season. But do you really see a difference on how you guys are training on the offseason?
Yeah, I totally can see a difference. It's just even when Coach Longford just come in the weight room, it ain't like, oh, we got to panic. It just we are relaxed and cool. He's the head coach, but he's not like a bully, you know.
How are you feeling about your off season at this point?
I feel very confident off season. You know, the guys, they've been really working hard. Spring training, doing spring ball and summer training. Guys getting stronger. Body's looking a whole lot better than before, and guys really just been getting after it and just doing the extra stuff that they need to do to be ready for the season.
Kind of how motivated is this group to kind of just prove people wrong? What happened last year said, hey, that's not Georgia Southern.
We're very motivated, but because we all know that we don't stay down too long, or Georgia Southern don't stay down too long, and we all know that we got to get back to the winning tradition, and that's what our community know, and that's what we got to get back to.
What do you feel like offensively you guys have moved on most this offseason?
Being consistent, having a plan, because I know a lot of time last year we had a lot of times where we kind of before the snap kind of had messed us up a little bit, and that's what Coach the best coming in. He brought in like having a plan before we start to play. So that's kind of what we doing on offensive side, trying to be consistent and make sure we have a plan before we go out on the field and before we hike the ball and all that good stuff.
Good to go. Thank you.
Appreciate it. The ice.
How you doing?
I'm all right.
My name's Ryan. I work for the Georgian.
Okay, what's the fifth?
Yeah, so let me start off. What can we expect from you guys, the offense this year?
Pretty much the same thing. Maybe 15, kind of like similar to the 15-year. Triple option, simple. Run and gun.
More, I guess, more out of the shotgun?
Yeah.
And how Coach DeBest, how do you like him and the new coaching staff?
Oh, yeah, the coaching staff is very very lovable, likable, however you want to say it. They're positive. They love the players. They want to do. They're willing to do anything for the players. The way they coach is just so positive, and the players they respond. So they respond like well to the coaching. And Coach DeBest, he's a offensive minded guy, so he brings a lot to the table on the offensive side, just as far as knowing and reading defenses and stuff, and then just his whole little thing with having a plan like that's like something that's key and big for our offensive side, and it does carry over to the defensive side as well, but definitely on our side because like I said, we kind of struggled a little bit in offense last year without like having a plan and being consistent on offense. So that's what he kind of bringing in this year, making sure we being consistent, making sure we do have a plan.
Have you noticed any progression from Shywords from year 1 to 2?
Yeah, I definitely could see a lot of progression because like when he first came in, kind of got the freshman butterflies in your stomach because I had it when I played as a freshman. So I definitely see him more confident. He's getting more comfortable. Playing that position, filling those shoes, playing on Saturdays, reading defenses better, working extra hard. He probably worked this summer. He worked real hard this summer, and just seeing how he growing from freshman year to now is very good of him, and he still got a couple more years to continue to grow.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no problem. This the one that keep rolling, huh? Yeah. I feel like all the reporters. Hi, Mom. She probably gonna be mad. She probably gonna be mad at me when I say Roger help me pick out the suit.
Having to change and learn new plays and stuff, but I feel like it's been smooth because we know what we're going to get out of Lunsford since he's been here, and he knows what he's going to get out of us. So that really helps us.
Perfect. Good to go. Thank you so much for the
Thank
time.
you. Nice meeting you.
Good luck this year.
Appreciate it.
I'm joined with Louisiana's Robert Hunt. Last interview of the day for you. So what's Media Day been like for you? What kind of interviews have you done? Has it been fun? What's been some of your favorite parts?
It's been really fun. I'm enjoying it. We had a couple that was really fun, like just funny dancing and stuff like that. We had some serious ones. So it's been a good experience.
And then for you, you've been an anchor of football-wise. You've been an anchor for Louisiana's offensive line over the past few years. Kind of what have you seen and have in yourself developing over the past couple years?
I have improved a lot just by getting like those reps on the field and off the field. Like coming in as a young guy, I definitely think became a much better football player.
Coming into this season, kind of what's something that you're wanting to work on individually, maybe in that aspect?
I want to work on just like getting out faster, like playing faster and playing like stronger. I guess I can say that. And with the coaches that we have, and now Coach Sale, Coach Looney, they have taught me a lot so far.
You've got a new head coach this year. What's that transition been like? And you better make a good answer because Coach Napier is watching from behind the camera.
It's been fun. Coach Napier, he's a really good guy. He brought in a culture for all of us to buy into, and we're all buying into it right now, and we're all working. And we're just trying to make something special happen here.
And when you look at the Ragin' Cajun schedule this year, you guys have two big non-conference games at Mississippi State, at Alabama. When you see games like that on the schedule, do you circle those, or are they just like every other game for you?
For me, I think I circle them. But other people probably the same. But we're going to approach it just like it's a regular game, just like every other game. We're just going to go into it and try to win.
And then as much as, we'd like to talk football all day, I like to always try and end on a fun note for you guys. And for you, you were a dual sport athlete in high school, and you played some basketball. So what got you down that path, and how did you ultimately choose between basketball and football?
Well, I actually played baseball, and I ran track. I did track too. Yeah, so I did every sport in my school. And it was just fun. I like sports. I like playing. I could honestly play anything, I think. So it was just fun playing all the different sports. Basketball definitely was my second favorite, maybe my first. It was, but now I think I like football better. I think this is what I can make a profession out of. Basketball was fun, though. I enjoyed it.
And, in this off-season, basketball-wise, there's been a lot in the NBA, a lot of trades.
Oh, yeah,
what were some of your favorites, maybe, and who do you think is the greatest of all time?
Oh, definitely LeBron James, the greatest of all time. Like, he's the best player to ever play basketball. That's just me. Something I didn't like was DeMarcus Cousins, man. He traded and went to the Warriors. Now the whole league is ruined. Now we can't win. He should have stayed here in New Orleans and made the league better, man. But now we can't even enjoy the league.
So you think if football doesn't work out for you, you might go into the NBA?
Yeah, hit me up if you want to, like, a rebounder, a good shooter maybe. Hit me up.
All right. We'll put in a good word. So, well, Robert, thanks so much for joining me, having a little bit of fun, and best of luck this season.
Sun Belt Conference for another great show. We really appreciate it. We're really excited to get started. It's about a week away for us starting here, so we're excited. We have a great group of young men coming back to our program this year, and have worked really hard in the off season, and couldn't be more excited to get started. I think we made some progress last year. When you look at what we've done over the last couple of years, thought we were better last year, and think we have an opportunity to improve again this year if some things can go right for us, really in all phases of the game. Offensively, we made some good strides last year and have a lot of guys back in those positions. Defensively, we have a lot of guys back as well. We had a lot of injuries last year, and kind of lost some confidence as the season went on, but we're excited that those young men are coming back for another year. And then even in special teams, when you look at what we were able to do last year with our kicking game, especially with Marcus Green as one of the premier returners last year in the nation, and him coming back, we're excited there as well. So have another challenging schedule, which we're excited about. It's a great opportunity for us when you look at our non-conference schedule. And then when we get into the Sun Belt, obviously, it's just a great league. Very, very competitive, really good players, really good coaches. We were 4-4 last year. I go back and look at the games. We won 4 close games, and we lost 4 close games. So every one of them are close, and I think that's kind of the nature of the league. Very, very competitive from top to bottom, and I don't think it'll be any different this year. And hopefully, we can be in the mix, which we felt like we were last year. We kind of got into the mix and kind of got into the discussion, and hopefully we can continue that moving forward. So. Questions?
Yeah, Coach.
Yes, sir.
It's been a few years now. They say it takes a few years to kind of get your guys in, get your program kind of up and running. Do you feel that you have this program, maybe not success-wise, but kind of running the way you wanted to? Do you have your program in place now? I think we have our program in place, and I think we're headed in the right direction for sure. I still think we have some work to do, but we've, since the day I got to Monroe, we've had great young men in our program, and it's never really been so much for me about getting our guys in as it was to just continue to improve the program, which, you can see, we have guys on our roster now, guys like Marcus Green, David Griffin. Some of these guys were already at ULM when I got there, so it wasn't so much about getting our players, so to speak, in there. It was really more to me about getting what we want done on a day-to-day basis, and I think we've made great strides in that area. What we expect, I think what takes time really is to build that trust between coaches and players, and getting the system in and really getting them to really buy into it, and I think they have, and it's been a lot of fun. I think, kind of judging by the summers, and this is the 3rd summer, and we're so much further along than we were 2 summers ago, so it's been a lot of fun watching it.
Coach, you're returning a good amount of experience on both sides of the ball. How are you going to take advantage of that as you go into conference play? What is going to help ULM reach an upper echelon in the conference? I think we have to be more consistent week by week in terms of what we were doing, in terms of what we're doing as opposed to what we did last year. When you watch this, I just don't think that throughout the week and every Saturday we competed at the level that you have to compete at. I think if you're going to be one of the top teams in any league, you have to have a great competitive spirit about you, and that level that you compete at and play at every week, and especially in a league like the Sun Belt, it has to be really high. And hopefully we're learning that. I think I just thought we were very inconsistent at times in terms of putting our best product on the field each and every week, and you have to have a chance in this league. So I'm hoping with a little bit of experience in another year that we're all understanding that a lot more as a program, and I think the only way we're going to make that next step is if we can do that.
Hey, Matt, you mentioned that the record in close games with 4 wins and 4 losses, and it was one of those things, just having watched him, where a stop here or there on defense could have really made all the difference in those close games. With the amount of injuries you all went through last year, is that kind of a blessing now that you played so many guys and they have experience in addition to what you got coming back? I think that's a good way of looking at it for sure. That we lost some guys, and we have an opportunity to get those guys back, yet we had to play a bunch of other guys. So when you look at it, I don't know how many returning starters we have, but we have other guys that are returning
to the unit as well. But I think it's important in any, to stay healthy and to develop some consistency. And if you looked at it last year, it just became almost really like musical chairs for some of those weeks in terms of who was getting hurt, who was going to be in, and we just never really developed any consistency there. And as a result, I think we lost some confidence right on that side of the ball. The offensive side of the ball last year, if you looked at it, I thought we gained confidence as the year went on. I thought we lost some confidence as the year went on defensively. But I think we got good players on defense, and I know we have good coaches. So I just think it's a matter of putting it all together. And I'm excited about it looking forward here to 2018.
Coach.
Yes, sir.
What strides have you made on defense? And also, how has Caleb Evans progressed this offseason?
I think we've made good strides on defense. That's like I said, I think we have, looking at what we're doing, and all I can judge by is what we do against ourselves. And, the thing that gives me encouragement moving forward is we had some good production last year on offense, and we have a lot of the guys back. If you come out there and watch us practice in spring ball, I mean, the offense is not dominating any of the scrimmages. I mean, we have guys on defense that can cover our guys, can pressure the quarterback, can do all those types of things. So, like I said, I think we lost some confidence last year, but we can keep those guys together. And I think we have a chance there. I've been impressed with Caleb, really, in terms of the two things that we kind of set for him that we talked about moving forward is, A, him having a better overall grasp of the offense in terms of, being able to go faster when we want to go faster, and he calls it, being able to check out of different types of things, and he's really improved in that area. The second thing that we've tried to work on him is just being more comfortable, I guess is the best word, at being in the pocket and being a pocket passer. What we don't want to do is take his athleticism away, because he's such a good runner of the football. However, looking at him in last year and just trying to really look at things that he can improve on is, being able to go that second, third receiver, having your eyes down the field when you get out of the pocket, being able to look. So there were some things that Coach Kubik broke down with him that we looked at and stuff and really it was those two areas. I haven't talked to him about it much really in the leadership role of it. I felt like with the success he had and the type of young man he was, that he would get better in that area and would start to take more control of the offense and be more vocal in the program, and he's done that as well. So, like I said, when you really look at those three areas, I see a lot of improvement. But I think he's a young man when you look at it. He finished the season, had a great season, but he'd only been in school 3 semesters. I mean, he's a young man, and so I felt like the ceiling was really high for him to improve. And luckily enough, he's the kind of kid that wants to improve. So we laid out those areas for him, and I think he's really worked hard at them. Yes, sir.
Coach, first year with that conference championship game, can you just talk about what that means for this league and kind of how does that solidify and kind of add to this league?
I think it's a great thing all the way around. And I think when you look at it, the thing I look at a conference game, I guess twofold. Number one, it gives you another goal, which I think goals are great. Win the conference championship, win the Sun Belt West, win the Sun Belt East, whatever. So I think it gives you something else to gauge at and to set. I think the second thing that I'm excited about is, really, I mean, the NCAA is about opportunity. It's about opportunity for these young men, and 2 teams in this league are going to get another great opportunity for their student athletes to go wherever the game ends up, but to play in a conference championship game. So, like I said, I think on both ends, on the goal-setting end and having that as a goal, and then secondly, if you are one of those 2 teams, having that opportunity for your young men, I think is fantastic.
Yeah. Coach back here.
Yes, sir.
Specifically with defense, I mean, some of the games last year, it's like y'all guys were trading blows, and sometimes that might be fatigable for defense. I mean, specifically, what are some things that have changed defensively? I mean, you talked like you guys have more confidence in that, but just some specifics that have changed.
Well, I think the first thing is we have to have better numbers. We have to have better depth. And when you looked at some of those games that you're talking about, I mean, we kind of ran out of some troops there in some of those games. So I think the depth-wise, it has to be better. And we just have to get better as a unit. I mean, overall, from tackling to pressuring the quarterback to all those things. But I think the good thing moving forward is I really believe we have the players that can get it done. If we can do a better job or have a little bit better luck in terms of being healthier and keeping them going longer in the year to get some consistency, and have all the faith in the world of what we're doing, what our staff is doing, stuff. So I guess that gives me optimism in terms of seeing that and seeing what our defense, when we have them out there, what they can actually do against our offense. So, that's what gives me hope that in belief that we're going to be a lot better this year.
I was talking to Billy Napier earlier today, and he was mentioning his first taste of the ULM Louisiana Lafayette rivalry. You've gotten to experience that for yourself now for 2 years, and just what have been your impressions of it? And now that you've got a few guys that have been on your staff and you've worked with down there with them, has that made it even more intense for y'all?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think probably the biggest thing for us, for ULM, is the fact that we won last year. So because it was really getting lopsided. It was lopsided already. I don't remember what the years were, but finally we broke through and won a game at their home field. So which really I think adds to the game. When one team is winning every year, it's not much of a rivalry really anymore. But when the other team can break through like we did, so I think that adds to it. The fact that now we've broke through and won, and I'm used to that. I mean, I was coached in high school a long time, and you coach against people that and I have a lot of respect for those guys, that I've been blessed to work with, and stuff, and like Rob and Tim and Pallage and all those guys and stuff. So it'll be fun, and I guess my hope is obviously number one for ULM, but I also hope for those guys because I know them that game after Thanksgiving is both teams are going to have a lot on the line, and it'll be a lot of fun if that's the case.
Coach, speaking.
What's that? I've talked to you enough in the years, Dan. I think you know about everything I know. Yes, sir.
Speaking of rivalry games, I don't know if you caught the commissioner's opening statement, but he was talking about renewing regional matchups between the Sun Belt and Conference USA, and he specifically mentioned Louisiana Tech and ULM. You're interested in kind of going back down that and maybe scheduling another game between the two rivals there? Where are you at with that?
Well, I mean, it would be great, but I think it's in any situation. Dan knows I was asked for years about McNeese and UL, and I kept making the same comment. It has to be right for both places, and it can't just it's something, So I think number one, it's above my pay grade. To be honest with you, I mean that's things that are worked out above me, but I think it's something that would be good, and I think it would be good if it was good for both places. Obviously we have interest at ULM that we feel like is in the better of our program, as does Louisiana Tech. And I think both sides, have to do what's best for their programs. And I do hope one of these days that it is what's in the best interest of both programs. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Any more questions for Coach? Okay, I got one more related to rivalries. Looking at the preseason poll, and Arkansas State's picked to win the West and picked to win this league, and they've been kind of the bar in this conference for a long time, and y'all being picked to finish right below them, and then the way that game unfolded last year, as close as it was, is it? Are y'all looking forward to that opportunity to compete and play with them and see what you can do? Sure.
I mean, I thought it was a great game when you look at it, and but they've just done a great job there. I mean, what Blake's done with his kids, and it was one of those games where when you got out of it, when you went back and looked at it, they were just a little bit better than we were. Last year. I mean, at some spots and stuff. But what I really hope for, again, we're talking about the UL game, but I really hope that that's the second to last game, and it would be fun to go up to Jonesboro and play a game against Arkansas State with the respect we have for them, that there was a lot on the line. So, that's two games that we talked about, and hopefully they would both be – they're always going to be good games because they're regional games and the rivalry games or whatever, but it even means more when there's a lot on the line late in the season when you play teams like that, and hopefully we're good enough to do that. Thank y'all.
It's just all about keeping your eye on the prize. I think that's what it is for me, at least. Every week you got a different opponent, and I think it's like a test. You work hard and you study for that test, and this is how it is. Fall camp is just a big study session, That's how I look at it, and I think that, once we get ourselves together, that's when you start taking the test. And, it's hard, everyone's tired, everyone's sleepy,
What are you majoring in?
I'm a criminal justice major.
Okay, my mom works for California Institution for Men.
Oh, for real?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
She's trying to get out of being a correctional officer and become a parole agent.
That's cool. See, my mom is DPD. My mom's Dallas police officer. And she actually was in she was actually in correctionals before she became a DPD officer. She's actually a lieutenant now. Yeah. My sister, she actually just graduated from the academy. Now she's an officer in Dallas too. So it's actually pretty cool.
I'm now joined by Troy University's Hunter Reese, our last interview of the day here at this table. So it's been a long day for both of us. Kind of walk us through your media day so far.
It's been good. It's a good experience. It's my first time being down here. I was blessed, honestly, to even be asked to come down here. There's so many teammates that could have been picked for it, but I'm just honored to even be here.
A fun story for you that we actually haven't discussed with anybody else today is that you were a walk-on. You received a scholarship last year around this time. What was that moment like for you?
It was special. It was just seeing all of my hard work, come to fruition, and that's just really special when you can actually see the hard work pay off. And when you go in all the summer and the winter and all the off season and everything, and it all comes together, and it's really special.
Hard work has definitely been something that Troy's been, hard at work more or less. And you've got something on your hand that I want to show off a little bit. If you'll lift it up for the camera. Sun Belt Conference co-champion last year. Sorry, I have to say co. But what did that mean to get that title last year for you guys?
It was big. It was big. Obviously we wish we could have played App for the conference championship. Thankfully we get to do that this year. But it was huge. I mean, this Troy has been a really successful place. We won 6, I think, back-to-back conference championships. So to put Troy back on the map like that is a really big deal. It helped the fans and just the whole community altogether.
And we'll jump around a little bit here. Speaking of conference championships, the Sun Belt will have its first ever Sun Belt football championship game on December 1st. Over there, you've seen the trophy, you've seen the MVP belt. What did it mean to see those today, and kind of what does it mean to have that game to look forward to and play for?
Yeah, it's a big deal because now if you do tie with somebody, you can play them. I mean, you have a chance. The best two from each division are going to play each other. But yeah, seeing that new trophy and the MVP belt, I'm not really worried about the MVP thing, but it's just more the team trophy. That's it's bigger, and it just puts it gives you something to look forward to, like being up in Troy, working all summer, and then coming down here and seeing the actual trophy. It just puts more of an emphasis on it. It makes me want to keep going.
And for you, when you look at the roster, you're listed as Bandit. And a lot of people know what that is, but a lot of people watching may not. So describe what a Bandit is.
It's a hybrid DN linebacker. So I'm like a pass rushing linebacker. I can drop back in coverage. I play a true middle linebacker type position, and then I can get on the edge and pass rush as well. So it's pretty complex. We do a lot of different things with it, and just really Coach Vic's very creative, so he likes to use us in a lot of ways.
You said it can be challenging. For you, what's kind of your favorite part about that position, and why do you want to be in that position?
I would say the complexity of it, like being able to do so many different things. Like I can rush the passer, I can play the run, I can drop back in coverage and play the pass. And that's just the funnest part about it to me. And we have to make a lot of calls on defense, so I'm like the communicator, and I like doing that. I don't know why, but I like to be the signal caller, and that's a big role at Bandit too.
That's because you talk well. You can go one-on-one, you can talk in front of a group. Tons of people are watching you right now. But anyway, we'll just wrap up. Obviously football season's right around the corner. Fall camp starting, I'm sure, in just a few days, more or less. What should Trojan fans look forward to this year for you guys?
I would say, we're going to come out. We're going to play hard. They're going to get the Troy that they deserve and that they think they'll get. We're going to come out and play hard, like I said. We're going to be obviously we're going to be coached up pretty well, and we're going to come out and try to put on a show for everybody.
Well done, Hunter. You did great. You shout out to your coaches lingering nearby. You give you give the fans what they want. Great job. Well, thanks so much for joining me. Safe travels back to Troy, and best of luck this season.
Going to bet against you guys. Any advice for those guys right now?
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are going to bet against us, but I'd put our money on us this year.
Finally, man, what's it feel like this is the last ride? Does this season come into the season feeling different than it has the last few years? You kind of take more time to appreciate certain things, you feel like?
Oh, yeah, definitely take the time because, I mean, you grow up playing high school, then college, and then after that, you know, the next level isn't promised, which is not promised out of high school, but you have more of a chance, you know, play at the next level after high school than you do going from college to the NFL. So yeah, I'm definitely not going to take this last season for granted. I want to go out with a bang this year.
Oh, nice to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. So obviously, lots of accolades. I know you've been mentioned. People tell you this all the time. How do you keep yourself grounded?
Just the you know, the way I was brought up. I've always been taught, you know, to be a humble person. So when I'm reading all the hype and stuff, I'm not the person, you know, brag, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm just a humble person. So that's how we keep ourselves grounded.
So have you spent all your years at ULM?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I got here right out of high school.
So you were here when Barry was here.
Right.
Yeah. So what's it been like to watch that transition in coaching staff to Coach V and staff?
Just even the offensive scheme is different. You know, at ULM, we go 5 wide with a tight end out there, and then, you know, we don't really run a lot of empty sets in our new scheme that, you know, Coach Cube has put together, which he's done an amazing job. But I mean, it's just completely different. Even the motions, it's like it's allowed us to play faster. It's more simple.
I know being a Division I athlete is basically a full-time job, but when you get a chance to relax, what do you like to do?
I'm always either hanging out with my teammates. We'll go, like in the summer, you know, we'll all meet up at the pool and hang out, or most friends now stay locked up in their rooms playing Fortnite.
Isn't that amazing?
It's crazy.
Have you bought into that yet, or no?
I started out, bought into it, and then I'd go away. I'd go like a week or two without playing and come back, and they got something new on there. So it was just hard for me to catch up. And then I went on vacation, and we've had our breaks, and
out of nowhere.
Crazy.
Look, I do multiple media days, and I can imagine I'm going to hear this again in Mountain West, actually starting tomorrow. But I went to Big 12 in Conference USA last week, and like half the players I asked that question, and they're like, "Oh, I do Fortnite." And one guy was like, "Now it sounds like you'd be like me, like I just can't keep up."
Yeah.
And another guy was like, "Oh, I played a couple of times. Wasn't my thing." And I heard his running back go, "That's because you suck." So like, what?
Yeah.
The tables are separated kind of like this, but
Right.
the guy, and it was really funny. It was Justin Bell.
I'm really more of a music guy though. Like I'm always.
What do you do in music?
You know, I listen to almost any genre of music.
Yeah.
My mom, she's a gospel recording artist. She has an album on iTunes. My dad plays bass guitar. You know, different bands all over Mississippi.
That's amazing.
So yeah, and then I play the drums here and there when I'm able to fill in when I go home. So it's, you know, music just runs in the family.
So she's a gospel singer.
With the old team, everyone wanted to point fingers on.
I'm now joined with Georgia State's Michael Shaw. I'm pretty excited to have you here with us. And this is your first media day, correct?
Yes.
So what have you been doing all day? How many interviews have you gone through? What are your thoughts so far?
I think it's pretty good. I think I did like 3 or 4 interviews, so it's pretty relaxing. I love it. It's pretty cool.
Football season's obviously right around the corner, and that's why we're here today. But before we get into this season, I want to talk about last season for you guys. It was an exciting time for the Panthers. You guys won your first ever bowl game. What did that mean for you guys?
I think it was exciting. It shows where the program is going and where it can go. So I think it is very good achievement that we had.
And for you, kind of how did you take that, that win and then go into the off season to kind of build momentum individually and even kind of help your teammates kind of build that energy?
Well, because, I've been here for a minute, so I've been through the ups and downs, so that was a great up to show, guys, we can win, especially in this conference. We can play against teams in this conference, so I think that helped transfer over to the offseason, with workouts and the team chemistry and show that we can win.
2018 season, you guys have 3 midweek games. What do you like about the midweek games, or do you prefer Saturdays?
I guess I like the midweek games because on Saturdays you can watch college football and relax, so I think I like the midweek games.
And you've got some big games. You'll travel to North Carolina State and Memphis. How excited are you to face up against those opponents outside of conference play?
I'm very excited because it shows that we can play against big time schools. So when we get that opportunity, it shows there's not that big of a drop off. So I like how we play against those schools.
And when you kind of scout your defense so far, obviously, fall camp hasn't started, but in the off season, what have you thought maybe is one of the biggest strengths of the Panther defense? Maybe whether it's your strength or the defense as a whole?
I think as a defense, our biggest strength is how our chemistry is because we love each other to death. When we play in games, we know that we only got each other, especially as a defense. So I think that's what I love about it. Working out, we love working out together. We're always close. We always communicate together. So I think that's what I love about our defense.
And one of the last questions I've been asking student athletes today as they've come and talked to me is the inaugural Sun Belt Football Championship game is December 1st. How does that add any pressure or energy even going into the season and kind of raise the bar for you guys competition-wise?
I think it's energy because I think everybody wants to compete, everybody wants to win it, and only one person can win it. So that's what I think I love about it. So I think that's what will help with the conference because everybody wants to compete.
And you can't see it from where we are, but the championship trophy and the most valuable player, Sun Belt, is on display here. When you saw those, what kind of went through your mind?
I want to get it. I want to win it. I want to wear it. I want to hold it up, kiss it, all that. So I love the new trophy. I think it looks amazing.
So we've got a challenge on our hands for Georgia State this season. You got to get to that December 1st ball game so you can wear that belt and carry that trophy.
Oh yeah, definitely. Got to raise it up and kiss it and hold it and take it home with us.
Well, great, Michael. I appreciate you taking some time to talk with me today, and best of luck to Georgia State this season.
Thank you.
last one on the podium here to finish up Sunbelt Media Day, but hopefully we can get everything you need. So excited about going into year 5. We were just talking just a few minutes ago. I think I'm the longest tenured head coach in the league. That's hard to believe. I know 5 years ago there were guys in the room didn't think I'd still be here, but we are. But I'm excited about going in with this team. Really, obviously the preseason rankings have come out, and there's a lot of excitement around our squad. But, just for me personally, just 5 years into it, some stability starting to set in, and guys that we've recruited and watched grow up over a 4 and 5 year period. I think it's our most athletic team, one of our most experienced team going in, and just excited about what they have the potential to do. Our standards never change. We always expect we need to find a way to win a conference title. Now, obviously, the media and the other coaches in the league look to us as the favorite for that, but we've got a long road ahead. All I know right now is that Troy and App State raised the trophy a year ago, and we want to get it back. So when camp opens up here in a couple weeks, we'll go at it as hard as we can. Fortunately, with some veteran players that I think have had a great offseason, and we'll do our best to go out and see if we can make it 6 out of 8 years. Got a few holes that we need to fill that we know are concerns, and those will be kind of the focal point of fall camp. Where we do have a lot of experience, we're going to lean on those guys in terms of a quarterback, skilled players on the offensive line, with the exception of right tackle. Right tackle right now would probably be our biggest question mark on the offensive side of the ball. We're going to lean on a heavy defensive line, what I think is going to be the best in the league. A lot of experience at safety. We got Justin Clifton here with us today, who's doing a great job leading. Corner and middle linebacker will be our biggest question marks there. And so fall camp's going to be built around trying to find those guys to fill in those gaps and kind of solidify both sides of the ball and put our best team on the field when SEMO comes in. So, again, excited about it, and the potential for a great season, a schedule that really matches up and fits well for us, the ability to open it up at home with a building project that's going on, just really fun to watch. So it should make for an exciting home opener against SEMO on September 1st. With that, I'll answer any questions that you got. Well, anytime you go into a season with a senior quarterback, veteran guy, it's good, comforting as an offensive guy, obviously in the meeting room with him, but to also have come off the kind of season that he had a year ago. He's prepared the right way. I thought he had a really, really good spring. We really focused on taking the next step, going from running the offense to truly making great decisions as a quarterback and maturing as a quarterback. And I thought he made some big strides. He threw 1 interception in 15 practices, and that was the biggest step for us to truly control the ball and protect the football. And he'll go into this season in as good a shape as he's ever been. And I think mentally his approach to the game is better than it's ever been. So that along with the weapons that we got, I feel good about what we have offensively. Go ahead in the back real quick. You just called me an old man. Okay. All right. That's okay. Man, it's just good. The comfort level of just building, kind of our culture, what we want going into year 5. All these guys on our roster at this point were guys that we brought in. We've made them all ours anyway, but we've been at every one of these guys' homes. We've met every family. Some of these guys have been with us for the full 5 years. And so that's where just the relationships are at a point, that you just can't trade off bringing in a guy for a year, 1 or 2. To spend 4 and 5 years with a guy, that's where you truly create some great relationships. And so it was what was needed. I told guys when I took the job 5 years ago to expect us to be around for a while, and we have been. And I think there's no coincidence that you see us putting on the field what should be our most athletic team. We're starting to stabilize it as well. The roster looks better, deeper than it's looked. And that's because we've stayed around and the staff has worked together to do that. It's okay being the old man in the state.
Hey, Blake, Adam Hunsucker with Monroe News Star. Being picked to win this conference is kind of old hat for you guys. It seems like it's every year, every other year this happens. But you alluded to the schedule you guys are fortunate to have this year, plus what you got coming back. This is kind of shaping up to be one of those years where you guys push for that New Year's Day spot. Have you addressed any of that with your team?
We've talked about it. I mean, it's the standard. It's the goal. When we stepped on campus 5 years ago, we talked about, the standard is to win conference titles every year. We've won 2 of those, which, is really just carrying over tradition that was built there before I got there. I just carried on what was already being done. But we started talking beyond that. I'm not sure that most of the guys in our meeting room had really ever thought beyond that. Just let's win a conference title and let's get to a bowl game. And very quickly we started building in. We got to think beyond that. And we started talking about building a monster program and thinking beyond just the Sun Belt. And we find ourselves 5 years into it where we have a schedule that's set up for us to be able to have that kind of conversation. We're getting the attention pre-season from people outside of our league. We've always, I think, got good respect within the league, but now with outside of the league, people are starting to look our way. Now we got to go out and produce. We've got some good cross-conference line games that will allow us to compete against other good Group of 5 leagues. Obviously, we've got a game that everybody will notice when we play Alabama, but if we can do what we're supposed to do, what we're capable of doing, then, the next step is to find a way to play in January. This would be a great year to get that done.
You've mentioned, I remember last year you were talking about the beginnings, how fast you could get into comfort with the players, and you spoke to some of the turnovers and just how quickly they can get there. You talked about the completeness of the team. Is that a different feeling you have going to this, and how are you addressing those things to try and start quickly and be cohesive at the start?
Yeah, this is a lot different team than a year ago. A lot more maturity, a lot more experience, and we still have some holes, as you do on any team, to fill. But this time last year, we added 42 new guys to our roster. Between transfer players, guys that had sit out a year, the attrition of both graduation and injury, we had to overhaul, half our roster. And this year we're able to retain more guys and still build a good class, but we got more veterans coming back that played a year ago. So we're only having to plug in, a handful. And just the leadership aspect and the culture that we've got and the expectations of just inside the locker room alone are at an all-time high. And it's just a different team than we were looking at a year ago. We really didn't know what we had. We knew we were talented physically, but we did not know just what kind of leadership roles guys were going to take on, and it hurt us throughout the course of the year. We lost some games that physically we should have been able to win, and it was just immaturity, lack of leadership, and some undisciplined play. And I think we've had the entire offseason and summer to really grow from that and move to the next step. We go into this with a good senior leadership group of guys, and I think it allows us now to take the next step, and hopefully that is to find a way to win a conference title. And at the end of the year, we want to represent the Group of 5, and those are huge aspirations and huge goals. But the guys in our building, that's why they chose to come there, and that's what they expect. And then we're just going to go to work, try to get it done.
Coach Chris Hutchison, KAIT, you mentioned building a monster. What is it like sitting in your office every day and you're seeing the north end zone, the expansion just grow day by day?
Yeah, the excitement, it's hard to really explain. You bounce around different schools throughout the course of your career. You hear people talk about what we want to do. If we're able to get this done, we're projecting to do this. I mean, since day one that I've been on campus, there's never been a day that I've been on campus in 5 years that there has not been a project underway. And I just don't know how many people get that luxury. Terry and Chuck and the board have, everything they told me they would do, they've done it and more. And so the recruiting momentum and just the excitement for your players to see that these people care and that they're willing to give us everything we need to go out and contend and be successful. So it just energizes you, and we want our guys to have their very best, and we're very close to having that. We're in the final phases of having some of the best resources available to us in the country at our level. And it'll be a fan experience, really unique and unlike any other when the North End Zone project is completely finished.
This morning, Carl Benson was talking about a lot of the rivalries that were coming up and how they wanted, Louisiana, some other schools to play. Kind of in the future, you guys have Memphis open up for about 4 years, and just some of the money that comes from CFP that allows you to not have to play multiple money games. Has that helped you out with scheduling and trying to open up some things and possibly open up with like Memphis?
Well, our formula has always been the same. It's just taken a little while to get to that. When we sit down, Terry and I talked just in in the beginning stages of this job, we've always wanted to play a quality Power 5 opponent. Obviously, we're going to be very careful about how we choose that. We've got Alabama this year, Georgia, Michigan in the next couple years down the road. We want 2 Group of 5 conference opponents. We want to cross conference lines, preferably down in our footprint. We got an opportunity. Tulsa's in our footprint. We've got Memphis coming up on a 4-game schedule. Those are the kind of games that we want. Those are conferences that we need to compete with. We need to find a way to win those games outside of our league. Every time the Sun Belt wins one of those non-conference games, it shows the quality of play that we have. And then we're going to carry one FCS opponent. That's pretty typical. We've played both UCA. We've played Pine Bluff. So we're going to now SEMO is coming down. They're just a few hours down the road. It's a great travel game for their fans. It's people and young men and programs that our fans are familiar with. And so I think it's a great formula, and you're starting to see that as you look at our next 3 or 4 years out. That's what you're going to see. That's the blueprint, and now we got to go and produce within that schedule. It gives us an opportunity to do that.
Coach, you had some close losses last year. What are you doing as a team to tighten it up and make sure that you win in a more convincing fashion consistently?
As long as we got one more point than the opponent, I'm happy. It's the ones that we didn't win that got away that are the ones that really we had to focus on. Just accountability and discipline were the things that I think that we lacked. We talked about going in with a team that was really inexperienced. I think we suffered from a lot of immature decisions and poor communication at times. And everything from the bowl game till now has been about trying to be more detailed, be more disciplined, hold our teammates and ourselves to a higher level of accountability, and try to see some leadership emerge. And I think we've taken every phase of our program and tried to overhaul it in a way that those things are put at the top of the list. And I think we're going into the season this year with a group that is, you see leadership that has stepped up, and I thought the accountability standards and measures throughout all the way through into academics, through class and tutors and all those things, you see it starting to really show itself. And I think those things carry to the field. I think all that stuff is connected. We've got even ended up having our highest GPA we've ever had, 3.0 as a team. And if guys are making good decisions off the field, those tend to carry over to the field, and I think that's what we're seeing right now. Those, I think, will help us win some of those close games, and those will maybe help us avoid some of the decisions and mistakes that we made that were self-inflicted a year ago.
Looking at the preseason poll in the West, it's got you at the top and then ULM right below you. And you guys played a barn burner last year in Monroe. I covered that game. But what are your thoughts on what they have coming in this year and the job that Matt Viator's done rebuilding that program?
I think he's done a great job. Obviously it shows on the field. You can see that the guys believe in what they're trying to do. To me, that's a great sign. The effort level that the team plays with, just the energy level you get from the sideline, you can tell they like what they're doing and they like who they're doing it for. That game was, whoever had it last. We ran out of time. We didn't run out of points. We ran out of time. They've got a lot of guys returning, as do we. It obviously is one of those games that has a chance to be another exciting game. The type of offenses that we both run, both with quarterbacks that can deliver the ball and tons of weapons. So I'm hoping that our defense, and Joe would tell you, hoping to have a better plan against them this year and try to slow them down. I'm sure Coach Collins thinks the same thing about us, but I'm glad we got him at home. But it'll definitely be a challenge to get a win against those guys because they have the talent to give you all kind of problems.
Coach, going back, you mentioned year 5 at Arkansas State. Was there a moment, maybe that first season where it was kind of a welcome to being a college football head coach kind of moment? Was there a moment like that?
Yeah, I think those moments happen all the time. I felt like I went into it very prepared in terms of a 365-day plan, very organized. I got to give Larry Fedora a lot of credit. He worked very hard to help prepare me. He knew all along the way as I was coordinating for him that he wanted me to be ready when my opportunity came. And so I tried to listen and learn, and he did a phenomenal job. But it was the things that were on your schedule, the things that you couldn't schedule. It was that knock on the door or that phone call late at night. Those were the things, and I think those still happen. Hopefully I'm dealing with them better now than I did 5 years ago. Maybe I'm a little bit slower to make some decisions, learn to be a little bit more patient, and not feel like I had to rush to do that. But, man, those moments happen every day. And I think it's if you ever quit growing and ever quit learning, then there's a problem. I think you just got to keep soaking up as much as you can. Try to keep good people around me and try to rely on good counsel of other guys and be open-minded. But there's something that surprises you pretty much every day.
Coach, I realize you got a 12-game schedule ahead of you, but is there a game maybe on this season or last season that you look and sort of circle? I know in the past it may have been Lafayette, obviously the battle with Troy last year. Is there any particular rival that you look at and you know your team is going to be extra fired up for each year?
Well, I think what you find is we've obviously created a conference rivalry with Lafayette. That's not going to go away. You know, they got a new coach, but, I mean, he'll walk right in and pick up where other coaches have been. And that's been a competitive rivalry. Obviously, we don't have a local rival game. It's it's really just become out of respect. I can see the App State game coming in. Our guys know, App State had a share of the title the last 2 years. We lost out on that title a year ago, so I can see that. But honestly, the league, the Sun Belt's better than it's ever been, and I think the challenge is being at your best every week and not having a big drop off. You may not always play your best game, but your bad game's got to be good enough to win in a conference that is solid from top to bottom. We're unique in the sense that we just don't have that local rival. We don't have that connected rival in terms of geography. But out of respect for teams that can play and the fact that we've been at the top of the league for a while, I think every week you kind of feel like you got a target on your back.
Speaking of Appalachian State on that schedule, I mean, you guys, the fact that it's Tuesday, you get a week before and after, kind of point towards that. But that team you haven't played the past couple of years, you guys have contended for the championship and back in 14-15 traded there. I mean, how big is it to lead into that game on a Tuesday and build towards that with most of the nation watching that?
Well, we got to do the right things leading up to that game. That game against App only matters if we've taken care of business getting to it. There's so many hurdles to cross before we get there, and still, again, we mentioned at the beginning, there's some holes that we've got to fill and solidify some spots. If we've done what we're supposed to, that game will matter in a big way, and it'll be on a national stage in front of all the country to see. Obviously, they'll have the same goals. We both want to come out of that game, in a position to share or hold the lead in the league, and that game will be a challenge in itself. There's just so much work to be done between now and then. It's really hard to focus on any one particular game other than SEMO. We'll just try to put the best team we can out week one, and then 1 week at a time, try to improve and be the best we can be.
Any more questions for Coach?
Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all hanging around.
You got one more, Coach.
You got one more? Come on, Brooks. Let's go. Come on.
You already turned the microphone off. Going back to the championship, in years past you might share, and you wouldn't have played Appalachian State last year if it had gone as Troy this year. If it goes, to a point you might lock up a team. How much of a difference does that make that there's one? And there's been lots of shares in the history of Sun Belt.
I don't think anybody wants to share it, and we've always wanted to win it outright. We've been fortunate enough to do that before, but I think the addition of the championship game is going to be a lot of fun. I've been able to play in one of those games before. It's one of the most memorable parts of my career as a coach was to raise that trophy in a championship environment. We've talked a lot about it going into this. We wanted it to be done well, and we wanted to make sure that we really put on a great show for all the people out in college football, and I think we will. Somebody's going to lift it for the first time. Somebody's going to get to host it for the first time. We want to be the program that does that, and there would be no better way to finish the year than to host the conference title game right there with what we've done in terms of the expansion and what Terry's built there in terms of the facility. It'd be a great way to finish the season. Anything else, Brooks? You sure? All right. I'm just messing.
Thank you, Coach.
To that, and so it's kind of easy to pick up on, and just being with him for 3 years, just kind of developed under it.
If you could play another sport, what would it be?
Basketball.
Basketball.
Yeah, love basketball.
Yeah. What, guard, forward?
Yeah, I'd have to play. in like amateur, I'd be like just slasher. But since NBA guys are 6'7", I guess I'd be a point guard now. Yeah.
Are you a LeBron fan?
Yeah, I like LeBron. I was a big LeBron fan when he was first in Cleveland. Then when he left Cleveland, that upset me. But he apologized for it and went back there, won him a championship. And somebody mentioned the other day he's never in the media for doing something dumb. And I've never thought about that before. But now that I think about that, I just respect him all the more.
For a guy, I feel like since he's been 16, 17 years old, he's been labeled as the next company.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. If me and him are both in McDonald's, me and LeBron James, and he went to the bathroom, I'm probably going to video him walking by. So you know what I'm saying? So he never slips up, and you got to respect that about him.
Impressive. Is that kind of how you like to model yourself?
Yeah, just under the radar, definitely under the radar.
Do you talk to any of the other guys, any of the other quarterbacks that were kind of in the league last year at all, or?
No, I really never. There's really not ever a chance for me to get to know him or be around him. Just see him on the field, and we played Troy the last game of the season, and then I never played against App State or any of that. So.
You
definitely.
Never played against App State in your career?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys get a mission.
Right? Yeah.
So that'll be. That's two really good cornerbacks on that team.
Yeah. I've heard. It's pretty good competition generally when Arkansas State and App State play each other. But it's nothing I've experienced yet. But looking forward to it.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Good luck.
Yeah.
Very nice meeting you, buddy.
All right, Justice, you guys, a little more time. I'm Chris. I'm at KAIT, so I'll deal with you quite a bit. You asked all the serious questions today. We're going to have a little bit of fun.
You can sit back and unwind and just do this. So I was like, I'll try it, It's been a pretty good deal. I sit back and I just sit there and write, and next thing you know, I'm writing for a long time, and I'm like, dang. But I hope to one day turn it into a book, But if I'm not doing that, I'm probably sitting back chilling and just playing a game or something.
What game?
I'm a big UFC guy.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. If it's not UFC, I'm probably playing Madden or 2K. But I know everybody's playing Fortnite. But yeah, I've never played it. Man. I don't know.
It sounds like you shouldn't. It sounds like it's become. I'm afraid to pick. I don't know what it's up to. Yeah. Everyone's playing. Yeah. I've heard players across every conference say it. I'm like, why didn't I invent this? That's all you keep thinking when you hear that. I'm like, what is this game? How did they come up with it? Please go ahead. I know you've got some.
Going into the season, from last year to this, he was talking about a lot of the pieces there. And do you feel like this is a more complete team going into this year?
I would say it's a complete team, especially as far as the chemistry aspect. We've bonded so much over the spring and over the summer so far that it's really been a sight to see. Just seeing guys come around and actually hanging out with one another, getting to know each other even before fall camp starts. So bringing that into fall camp is going to be even a better sight to see.
How much has tightening up been part of the plan? He was talking about how they retried everything, put that at the focus, just the mistakes that cost the team. How specifically did that change the offseason?
It changed a lot. We actually we made that one of our goals is to focus on those little things. And when we realized that those little things that we were missing out on were keys to the success that we did not have, it really took a toll on a lot of guys. And with that, I put a lot of pressure on us as leaders and seniors to uphold that standard and make sure guys are living up to that standard.
How big is that Alabama
game? We play SEMO first, so we're gonna play SEMO, and then when we get to Alabama, we'll get there.
Which one you playing third?
Which one we playing third? Yeah. We're playing UNLV, I want to say.
Okay. But to talk about a game that's on the schedule that's not SEMO, pointing towards App State and mostly being around this championship season where you could potentially play anybody, before you'd have to share things like that.
Right.
How much of a difference does that make in the season?
That's awesome. I love the fact that we're doing that now as a conference. Nobody wants to share a championship, but nobody. who doesn't want to be at the top of the mountain with the crown on top of their head, saying, "Hey, we're the ones that run this conference." And not only that, I think it breeds the best competition out of the conference. It brings out the best competition out of each individual team. So I think it's a great thing and a great move for this conference.
So Justice has been around 3 years. You play against him on defense. I mean, what have you seen from him just defensively and going throughout this?
Man, if I could say one thing about Justice is like he's like wine, man. Better with wine. He's like fine wine. He just get better and better every year, man. He's a great person, great teammate, great to go against in practice. He's a guy that always try to look you off. You gotta when I watch film, because I watch film on a lot of guys, and when I watch film on Justice, I sometimes pick up on some things and see where he's and he's sometimes there helping me to tell me what he's seeing and what this. So him helping me and me helping him has been tremendous as well.
I guess that wine's been breathing. He's opened up a lot. I mean, it sounds like he's over the offseason he's kind of talked. Have you seen that inside the locker room?
Oh yeah, I've seen it for sure. He's been one of those guys that's been more vocal this off season, and in turn that has picked up a great stimulus from the team. Guys have responded in the right way, and guys are actually looking forward to hearing him say something, which is great. And you want that from a guy from his stature. You know, he has all the accolades, he has all that, and when he started opening up, it's like exactly what you want from your starting quarterback.
Defensively, I mean, you guys were successful last year. Coaching has been consistent. Has there been any major changes over the offseason, or has it just been about preservation?
I won't say any major changes. It's been more of getting back to the basics, getting back to like what we talked about earlier, honing those small details. Other than that, it's been more. If I would say one thing that we've looked at this offseason is mental conditioning, and that's something that our coach, Pat Ivey, believes in, and I believe it's another thing that's going to get us over another hump as far as in this athletic field that we take part in. So yeah.
Has the waterfall come in yet?
It's not, but they've thrown that thing up fast, man. It looks good. It looks good.
I appreciate you.
No problem.
Thank you.
That's all from Sunbelt Football Media Day 2018. It's been a long day of interviews with all the coaches and student athletes, and you can catch all the action on sunbeltsports.org. We look forward to seeing you all on August 30th, and we'd like to say a special thank you to our sponsors today for making today possible. Event producers, New Orleans & Company, and Under Armour. Again, we'll see you guys August 30th for football kickoff.